You're listening to Sports Justice.
Toward the net. Deflection. What a save! Save by Lundqvist!
Serving you your sporting news 3 times a week.
And he drives one to center field. Back goes Upton looking up at the wall. It's out of here!
Only on Cyber FM Radio.
With the 18th pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Calvin Pryor.
Not online radio, but radio online.
Cowboys drilled deep to left field. Going back choice. Looking up. See ya. 3,000. History with an exclamation point.
In the hands of Anthony. Anthony for 3. Puts it in. Knicks by 1 with 8.2 remaining.
Now, here are your hosts.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. I'm Rich Warnock.
I'm Paul Bonanno.
I'm Sean Snyder. And I'm Billy Pop-Manuel.
We have a lot of things to get to today. As you notice, we're on a different time today. We're on from 2 to 4 instead of our usual slot in 5 to 7. That's because of New Year's Eve. We all have things to get to, but we're still going to bring you a ton of sports today, which hopefully we will because I can't see the board.
Can you ridden of any smaller?
Yeah, really. Look at this thing. This is
You got to fit it all in and make it look neat.
Where's
Better
the thing
than
that-
Rich's thing
Hold
where
on.
everything's taken up 7 lines. Pull that thing forward and rest it on that as it usually is. This guy's totally lost over here. He throws away his
lost.
mic.
Things are out of place. The
frazzled.
board is nowhere to be found.
It's okay, I didn't want to read the board. Go ahead.
You need a telescope?
Yeah, need a magnifying glass. But anyway, we have a lot of things to get to today. We also remind you before we get into the topics that the number is 516-858-5837. So give us a call. There's a lot of controversial topics to talk
Might
about
be
today.
the first time ever you gave the number out within 5 minutes of the show starting.
5 minutes. This
I
is
don't
within
know about
2.
First time ever.
Not first time
I
ever. I've
get
done
a
it
little
before.
crazy.
Come on.
And at least he did it right before the New Year starts, all right?
Yes.
Ended off with a bang.
New Year's
End it off with a
resolution.
bang. Go
New
into
Year's
the
resolution.
New Year's resolution. Give the phone number within the first 2 minutes of the show. Is that good? 30
Impressive.
seconds? 2 minutes? Okay.
2 minutes is a long time. I don't know what's going to take you 2 minutes to give the phone number.
Well, it's better than my usual 8.
Usual
8 to
17, but okay, go ahead.
17 minutes in.
2:30 and we're still waiting for a phone number
That's
here.
right, but we do want to hear from you today. We have a lot of controversial topics that we feel that you can get in on and voice your opinion on. So once again, the number is 516-858-5837. We're going to get into Ndamukong Suh, who for a little while there, it certainly looked like he wasn't going to be playing in this weekend's NFC divisional game against the Dallas Cowboys, but he wins his appeal. We'll get into our opinion on that. We'll get into Rex Ryan. He's been getting interviews all across. He's going out to the West Coast. He's going to the East Coast. He's going everywhere. He's interviewing for jobs everywhere, so we'll get into that. We'll get into which coaching vacancy across the NFL is the most appealing. There's some appealing ones. We actually got into this in our group text last night or whatever, so that should be an interesting topic. We'll get into tomorrow's huge Rose Bowl game of Florida State and Oregon. Marcus Mariota versus the undefeated in his entire career at Florida State, Jameis Winston. Should be a good game. We'll get into Alabama versus Ohio State University. Not as appealing of a game, but still going to be a pretty good one, I think. David Blatt certainly sounds like he's on his way out there in Cleveland. Is that the right move? We'll get into that. Yesterday, the Brooklyn Nets with a huge win over the Chicago Bulls and Derrick Rose. We'll get into that.
Championship in their sights, huh?
A championship
Huge
in
win.
In their
Huge
huge win over the Eastern Conference's leading Chicago Bulls. We'll get into that. This has got to be the most filled board we've ever had.
And half of it's useless, but go ahead.
I know. I mean, you just go through everything. I'm not even halfway through. We'll get into Derrick Rose, who's been struggling, and we saw that last night against the Brooklyn Nets. The Winter Classic, a New Year's Day tradition now, is the NHL has put forward over the last couple of years. We'll get into that as the Chicago Blackhawks and Washington Capitals get set to square off in Nationals Park out there in D.C. We'll get into that. Could the weather affect that game? We'll have to see. We'll keep our eye on the weather reports. The Rangers, are they hitting their stride? They've won 7 out of their last 8. Unfortunately, they lost a couple days ago to the Dallas Stars in a tough matchup. We'll
Just
get
skip
into
to
that.
the last topic.
You don't have to give every
It doesn't
single
have to be every
topic,
single
every
one.
sport. You give a brief overview. All right, we're talking about football, the head coaching vacancies. All right, we're going to talk
Feel
about
like
the
we're going all
college
day
football,
here.
all the bowl games. We're going to get into the NBA.
right,
The Cavs
okay.
struggle. Derrick Rose struggles. What's going on there? We're going to get into some hockey. The Winter Classic is
hockey,
fastly
Winter
approaching.
Classic
Could
is
it be
fast.
delayed by weather issues and some other things going on around the
Nobody
NHL?
cares.
And then we're going to get into the best moments of 2014. You see how quickly that was done and it hit everything?
Very nicely done. Very nice. You should know. You wrote the damn board.
You don't have to say every single topic we're going to
Yeah.
get into.
Well, because we'd be here for
This
till
is
the New
something
Year.
that
'cause that was the case.
can off the air.
We can discuss that off the air. But a topic that's going to be a good one, I think, would be the ending one, which is the best sports moment of 2014.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
I'm just going to have to do a little research before we get into that.
Oh, yeah, I think we all will. But we'll start with Ndamukong Suh, who, if you hadn't seen it in this past Sunday's game against the Green Bay Packers, backed up. I don't know if you know what I'd say. he backed up essentially and stepped on the injured right calf, and I don't think that was a coincidence. Stepped on the injured calf of Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Aaron tried to push him off, and Ndamukong Suh showed absolutely
The little whack.
Suh showed absolutely no
Remorse.
no hustle in terms of trying to get off of Aaron Rodgers. So it looked like and appeared that the league had done the right thing. They suspended him for 1 game, which is certainly, I think, justifiable in that situation, considering he's a repeat offender. And then yesterday it's announced that he goes to his appeal, and he comes up with this cockamamie excuse, and we'll give you the exact words that he used at his appeal process. We'll get into that. And actually wins the thing. So now he is eligible to play on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys.
He got fined $70,000
in Dallas. He got fined $70,000, which is a nice chunk of change in terms of suspension.
He got
Usually,
fined
A slap on the
Corvette.
wrist.
huh?
He got fined a Corvette.
He got fined a Corvette. That's pretty significant. Pretty significant.
I'd be pretty pissed off.
Pretty peeved. Yeah. But he wins his appeal. He's now eligible to play. So we'll begin right there. What did you guys think of him winning his appeal? Did you think he should have been suspended in the first place?
It looked accidental watching it, but you can't give a repeat offender with the list of things as long as his the benefit of the doubt in a situation like that. So I feel he should have got the suspension and it should have stuck. But
I don't
that's
really
me.
know because I feel like some angles look like he did it on purpose. Some angles look
I
like
think
he
the
didn't
fine
do
was
it.
perfectly justifiable to
Yeah.
suspend him for a playoff game.
Yeah, it's a little harsh, I thought. It's just that the fact that he has the history of all these dirty plays going on him, and he's a huge
It
guy.
has been like 4 years since something.
I guess so, but those things were heinous acts, too. He was stomping on people.
Taking his helmet
Stomping
off
on
and hitting
them.
people with it.
So this act would be tame compared
Yeah,
to
and I think even if it wasn't Sue, it's kind of a tame act.
if it was J.J. Watt, would you suspend him for a game?
He wouldn't have got a suspension. He might not
No.
have even gotten fined if it was J.J. Watt because
Well, here's
it
a better
looked
question.
accidental.
If he had stepped on anybody other than Aaron Rodgers, let's say he stepped on Derek Carr's leg, would this even be
If
a
it was
conversation?
J.J. Watt?
No, if it was Sue, yeah.
Yeah, he still would have got some sort of trouble just because of
You
his
think
track
so?
record. Just because of his track record.
If it
everything,
wasn't Aaron Rodgers.
If
Everything
it was J.J. Watt stepping on Derek Carr, would this even be in the news?
No. It would be accidental and no one
Well, it
would say a
depends if
word
Derek
about
Carr
it.
had a calf injury before that also. But the thing is, Sue stepped on him once and then took another step and then did it. Normally, a person who steps on somebody, if you're anywhere and you step on somebody, you kind of look back and say, like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, he
Even if
did-
you're in the middle of
he
an
did
NFL
that.
game, you still like look back and be like, oh, my bad. He kind of just did it and like just kept looking straight and was like, oh, stepped on it. Oh, stepped on it again. My
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
Yeah,
And they kept going. So there's just the fact there was no remorse. He didn't look apologetic at all as soon as it happened. Even Rodgers slapped him. Like, there's no reason. Why would he slap him if it wasn't for anything? So he obviously knew that he was standing on somebody or stepped on something. It's not like there's anything that lays on a football field that you just stand on.
was
It's
a
either body
sprinkler.
parts or
It
nothing.
was obviously a sprinkler.
Yeah, there's
It's
nothing else
obviously a
out
sprinkler.
there. So
those Buffalo Wild Wings sprinklers that they bring up in
you
those
have to
commercials.
assume you're standing on somebody's leg. And how does he know that it's not his own teammates? So he obviously knew he was standing on something.
He knew. For me personally, I think 150% he did it on purpose. I think that
Come on.
Billy, come on. I mean, like Paul said, if he had been thinking or if it was going through his mind that he was stepping on one of his teammates' legs,
He's
he would
very
have gotten
talented
off.
then. He's like, okay, I'm going to step backwards.
Well, he stepped
Oh,
on
it's
it-
Aaron Rodgers, yes.
Well, I think he knocked down Aaron Rodgers.
I think he knocked him out. He knew exactly who it was, and then he turned around and he figured Aaron Rodgers could only be in one place behind him, so he took a couple steps
'Cause
back.
He never even looked back. If that was his teammate, if it was just like a big pile up, he would have looked back to see if that's his teammate.
Yeah.
He would have checked to make sure. He
Right.
didn't look down once after he stepped on him twice.
He didn't
And
even
then-
turn around and apologize
No.
or anything. He just
Even
walked
after
away.
Rodgers shoved him off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Rodgers was yelling at him, and he was getting off, get off. And then, I mean, if you watch it, you see him. He's kind of just standing on the injured right calf, which is another. I mean, if you want to call that a coincidence, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for that because he's not looking. So the
Yeah.
odds that he could find the injured right calf when not looking is pretty impressive if that's what he could do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm just going to say that he was stepping back. He knew he was stepping on Aaron Rodgers, and I think 150% he did it on purpose. I mean, if you look at it, he showed absolutely no hurry to get off. I mean, he steps back, feels him, and then takes another step back, and then at his own pace decides that he's going to move
I mean, it's
off.
a body part. How do you not know you're standing on a body part?
Yeah.
Like,
You feel it under you.
You feel it under.
I know he's a big guy and all, but it's still a leg. Like,
Right.
it's a human leg underneath him. He's
Oh,
gotta
this
feel
doesn't
it.
feel like turf. Let's
This
keep
doesn't-
walking on
Let's
it.
keep walking on it. And then, I mean,
If I
thought
step on a
the-
pencil, I feel it,
Yeah,
let
right.
alone a human leg.
Exactly. I think 150%. I thought that the suspension was justified when I first heard about it, and that the league had come down on him and suspended him for the one playoff game. I honestly care less that it's a playoff game. Don't be stupid enough to do that and put your team in that situation. I mean, especially when you have a track record. And I've heard a lot of people say that track records in this case don't matter. that's crap. They clearly do
No,
matter.
they actually have a list. I'm actually looking at
The track record is a judge of your character.
I'm looking at the rule for this list that they have when they have violations like that. If you go 32 games, you're removed from the list. And Sue went his 32 games, and he was removed from the list.
He's removed from the list, but he's not removed from people's minds in terms of knowing that he is this type of player.
By league rules, they have to.
Yes, by league rules, on paper, he is removed from the list. But
Not
the
in their
people who are
minds.
making the decisions on the suspension have it in the back of their mind
It's
that
been
he
32
is this type
games.
of
This
player.
guy again
No,
already.
they have to go by that he's not a repeat offender.
I know,
'cause he's
and
not
that's
on the
why he
list
won his appeal.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he won his appeal. But I thought the suspension in the first place was justified because I think that he did do it on purpose. He is a repeat offender. He's been known as, if not the dirtiest player in the NFL, then certainly one of the dirtiest players in the NFL.
He's always in the news for this. This is pretty much the only reason.
Always in the news for this, and the disappointing part of it is he's an incredible player. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world.
He's a
and
monster.
He's completely.
Also looking at the stats for his impact on and off the field. Yards per rush with him off the field is 4.12. And then with him on the field is 2.84. So that's pretty significant.
Yeah,
and this is what the big deal is that if they were missing him against this Dallas game, it's a huge deal.
Right.
So now that he's
Especially
out there,
going up
DeMarco
against
Murray?
DeMarco
Yeah.
Murray, right?
so he eats up the middle, and he's pretty much an immovable force in the middle of that line.
Not to
so
mention they're already missing Nick Fairley as well.
yes, so with that Dallas offensive line, it's already going to give them problems. They need an Ndamukong Suh there, and at least it gives the Lions a little bit more of a shot. Without him, we would have seen a big jump in the spread, I'd say. So I think it's deserved that the fine that he got. I think I like the way there was $70,000 fine.
You don't think the suspension should have stuck?
I mean, I see it either way, but I understand why it's not there. It wasn't the worst thing you can ever do on a football field. It
No,
was a
it's not
little
the worst
dirty,
thing you can
but
do. But I think that
it was harsh, though. A one-game suspension for the playoffs just because he did that. I think it was
But
harsh,
an elimination game.
but
Let's play.
I think you can defend you would if the suspension stuck, you wouldn't been able to defend it. You would have been like, I understand why they suspend him, but just the fact that it's a playoff game, it's a one game and you're out, and they're going against Dallas. I don't know. I don't think it should be the best against the best. It shouldn't have one of the best players in the entire league out there.
So then, if you're Ndamukong Suh, essentially you're free to do anything you want because the next week is a playoff game and the league's not going to suspend.
Well, no. If he punched somebody in the face, he doesn't get a $70,000
He
fine.
didn't receive any kind of
I
penalty
think-
on the play, right?
no.
Well, refs don't really see that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
They're
that's
watching
tough
the
for the
play.
ref to see. They're worrying about setting the ball and counting the guys on the field so they can throw flags and stuff like that. But I think if, it looked more blatant and it looked more intentional that he was doing it and he was looking at his leg as he was stepping on it and you saw him physically stomping on his leg, then the suspension would be 100% justified. This is a tough one because I could see it from both sides where the suspension is justified solely because of who Ndamukong Suh is as a person and what he's done in his past, which Billy said we have to erase from our memories because of how long it's been since he's
Technically,
had
we
an offense.
do. Technically, on paper, he is absolved of everything that he's done in the
The
past.
league does.
But
Right.
I can also see it from the side where it did kind of look incidental and it's a playoff game and you want your best players out there and Roger Goodell wants to make as much money for the league as possible by having the best players out there. So, I mean, I could see it going either way, but how about that terrible excuse he used to win the appeal?
Oh, and I mean, this is part of the reason that, it's absolutely
My feet were numb from the cold weather.
that I couldn't feel what I was standing on. I mean,
Unbelievable.
Is he serious?
I've never even heard that, but that sounds like complete BS.
That's exactly what he said. My feet were numb from the cold, and I couldn't feel what I was standing on. I mean, that's just
He's
ridiculous.
got Sasquatch feet. I'm sure there's plenty of meat on those feet.
Oh, yeah. And if anything, I think that he should lose his appeal just for that ridiculous excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, you had 3 days. 3 days. His appeal was yesterday. He had 3 days to come up with an excuse, and that's what he came up with? Come on.
Pathetic.
I think he should have lost it just for that.
Probably. He probably told his mom that, and she was just probably like, I wouldn't go with that.
I wouldn't go with that one, but he ended up going with that one, and he ended up getting off of it. I think he gets off on a technicality, though. I really think that the suspension should have stuck.
I just think it's a little harsh. I mean, with all the stuff the NFL's been through, do you want to add another iffy thing? $70,000.
Well, some of the things that the NFL have been
Big
through.
fine. That's one of the biggest fines they give. $70,000. That's a huge fine.
That is a huge fine. But, I mean, all the things that the NFL have been through in terms of these suspensions.
So it's not like they're taking it lightly, though.
No, they're not taking it lightly. I mean, $70,000 is a significant suspension.
I think it's enough
significant fine.
It's justified. No matter how you want to look at it, it is justified.
Yeah, it's just enough where if you're not going to suspend him for a game, at least he's getting something that's hefty.
Do you think if this was a regular season game, the suspension would have stuck?
I think if it's the middle of the season, probably knowing it.
I don't think he would have appealed it, really. I think it's because of the fact that it's this is maybe his last game of the season. That's why he appealed it. If it's in the regular season, you never know if he's going to appeal it or not also.
I think he would have appealed it anyway.
I mean, a lot of them do
They
anyway,
tend to,
but
yeah.
I'm sure like the NFL office would just brush it off anyway.
Apparently, all you need to do in the NFL to get out of a suspension is file an appeal. Because everybody gets off on these damn things.
I don't
and
understand
apparently
why
you don't even need a good excuse because look what Ndamukong Suh just brought to the table.
I don't understand why you wouldn't appeal anything. If you ever get suspended at all, what's the harm in appealing? You can't get more.
If you get a speeding ticket, you fight it.
Yeah, because the worst comes to worst, you just get whatever you had anyway. Best case scenario is they drop it or you get a lesson fine.
But for the most part, what we've seen as history has proven to us now, if you appeal in the NFL,
you're going to win.
You're going to win it.
Yeah.
I mean, every significant one has won their appeal. Look at Ray Rice. He won his appeal.
The only one that didn't was Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson didn't win his appeal. But that was, I mean, for a completely different reason. But Ray Rice wins his. I mean, that was really because of Roger Goodell's misstep and the whole double jeopardy rule that he put forward. But that's why Ray Rice won his. But now Ndamukong Suh files his. Josh Gordon won his. He was supposed to get a full season suspension. And he got it reduced down to 8 games.
He proved
well, Josh Gordon also got his because the rule changed.
Yeah. So
the rule changed after he was suspended for it.
Yeah, but they
This
said
is a new rule too for the whole suit thing.
They said it wouldn't be fair to keep him suspended for something that they messed up on with that rule. So they wanted to change the rule, make it more from that rule was from like 1990. So they made it more modern.
It just seems to me like whatever suspensions the league hands down, they're
very lenient.
They're very, very lenient with their
It's always like
suspensions.
they're kind of on the fence, and then the appeal knocks them
It's
to
kinda
whatever
like-
side they should have been on.
Right, it's kind of like the league will come out and suspend a player for something that they did, no matter what it is. I mean, whether it's marijuana, which we saw with Gordon, whether it's Ndamukong Suh for this, Ndamukong Suh's arm length list of things that he's been suspended for over the course of his career. But I think what you see from the most part from the NFL is that whenever they hand out one of these suspensions, you really need to wait 2 or 3 days to make sure that it's actually going to stick. And I don't think that's something that you see in baseball or in any of the other sports. You look at hockey in terms of when they evaluate, they had Brendan Shanahan as a player safety guy, and he would evaluate the elbows, and they would take into consideration whether or not a player was injured on the play or whatever the case may be. And then that was it. The suspension stuck. That's it. I mean, with the NFL, it's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to suspend you for this amount of time, and then in 2 or 3 days, maybe we'll change it. To me, it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like the NFL also has way more issues than other sports, so it's currently
because
always adapting and changing.
Not only that, but the NFL is also always in the spotlight. I mean, the NFL is the #1 television show in America, so that obviously puts them in the spotlight.
All right, don't go anywhere. We're not done with the NFL talk yet. When we get back, we're going to talk about the Jets head coaching vacancies and where the Jets' former coach could wind up. Are you tired of hearing the same old voices on Sports Talk Radio?
We are receiving these returns through the cooperation and by special arrangements with the Pittsburgh Post and Sun.
It's time to try something new. Tune in to Sports Justice live on Cyber FM Radio.
Geno Smith is the worst quarterback in the National Football League, and the statistics prove it. Give me Tim Tebow. Well, maybe not really.
We also provide you with your up-to-the-minute updates in the world of sports.
Cleveland rejoice. The king is coming home.
Be sure to check us out on our social media, our Facebook, Sports Justice, our Instagram, Sports Justice, our Twitter, @sports_justice, and our website, sportsjusticeradio.com.
Also, be sure to get your dose of Sports Justice 3 times a week. Mondays at 10 a.m., Wednesdays at 5 p.m., and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Also, feel free to give us a call at 516-858-5837. What's going on, guys? This is Rich Warnock, and I'm one of the co-hosts here at Sports Justice. Listen, we all know that Monday mornings at the office are the worst, but I promise that if you tune into Sports Justice at 10 a.m. on Cyber FM Radio, we can kickstart your morning better than that huge cup of coffee you probably desire to get going. We here at Sports Justice don't just have you covered in the morning, but also for that mind-numbing rush hour drive home on Wednesdays at 5. And don't forget our NFL preview show on Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. Not in front of a computer? No problem at all. Be sure to download the Cyber FM radio app to listen to Sports Justice on the go. So just to recap, that's Monday mornings at 10 a.m., Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m., and Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. It's Sports Justice.
We hit terminus!
Welcome back to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. We just covered Ndamukong Suh winning his appeal. Now we'll move on to the former coach of the New York Jets, Rex Ryan. But first, we want to give you the phone number, 516-858-5837. We want to hear from you, so get on the horn and give us a call. Give us your opinion on everything that's going on today. Rex Ryan, now the former coach of the New York Jets, time to move on, and it seems like he's moving on pretty quickly. Last we heard yesterday from Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter that he has 3 interviews scheduled, one in San Francisco with the 49ers, one in Atlanta with the Falcons, and then an interesting one out there in Bristol, Connecticut with ESPN. It sounds like they're pretty high on Rex as well. Try to bring him in as an analyst. So
I'd love that.
I think if he goes to television, we're all winners. I mean, we get to watch him every week. So, I mean, it's interesting, but we got into this a little bit yesterday. Which spot do you think is the best case scenario for Rex to land?
I kind of like the San Fran one now that I'm hearing about it.
You like the San Francisco job?
I do. I just feel like they're that tough-nosed, gritty team. That's what he needs, and that's what he's known for. I feel like they're the best match for him right now.
To me, it's Atlanta. I think Atlanta's the best spot for Rex. I
agree with Rich.
I think Atlanta, when you look at what they have in place, they have an offense in place, something that he needs because he's not an offensive coach. You know,
they're going to keep their offensive coordinator there.
Yeah, they're going to keep their offensive coordinator. He's going to, I mean, essentially Rex, what he does, and at least what he's done for 6 years now with the Jets, is that he hands over the reins to the offensive coordinator. Now, it hasn't worked out too well for him. There's been 3 offensive coordinators in his 6 years here with Schottenheimer, Sperano, and now Morningweg. But if you go to Atlanta, it's a little bit different of a situation because he has that quarterback in place. He's not trying to develop a guy like Geno Smith. He's not trying to try to work in Tim Tebow, try to work in Michael Vick. He has a quarterback in place that's the 150% the starter going into training camp. That's Matt Ryan, a very good quarterback. He's got Julio Jones and Roddy White on either side of Matt Ryan. You look at he's got a top draft pick in this year's draft. I mean, despite the fact that just last week they were playing for a chance to win the division before they got spanked by the Panthers.
Yep.
So he's got that top draft pick. The defense, I think, is really the area that the Falcons need to improve.
Ranked 32nd in the NFL.
The worst. But I think that the day that Rex Ryan signs his contract with the Atlanta Falcons, provided that he goes there.
Top 10 defense.
It's top 10 defense. And that's the case, I think, no matter where Rex goes. Whatever team he goes to, I think their defense goes up 15 slots just because he's there. And I think another appealing thing is that there's no pressure in Atlanta. I mean, they're coming off of a 6 and how many wins do they have this year?
I think he prefers the pressure, though.
He does prefer the pressure,
competition.
but
I think he would rather go to the NFC West compared to the NFC South.
Yeah, that
Atlanta finished with 6-10.
6-10. So I mean, essentially no pressure there. He's got an owner in Arthur Blank who's willing to spend a lot of money.
Loves him too.
Arthur Blank, and Arthur Blank loves Rex.
Loves him.
Loves Rex. Interviewed him before Rex obviously took the Jet job. And they ended up hiring Mike Smith, which worked out for 6 years, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
So I think that Rex Ryan's got to be the front runner to get that Atlanta job. Not to mention, if he becomes a coach of the Falcons, look at what he's got to improve on. I mean, if he improves that team by 2 or 3 wins, they can win the division. There's no team in that division right now.
The division will be as bad next year.
It's not as hard as the NFC West. That's for certain. I mean, if he takes the 49ers job, first of all, he's got to deal with an owner who just fired a head coach who was 42-19.
Yeah,
so
it was a mistake, I already think, to get rid of Harborough. But I think with Rex, with the Falcons, their priority is offense, though, and that's not Rex. Their number 1, number 2, number 3 is their offense, their offense, their offense.
With the Falcons?
Yeah.
Well, their
whole
offense
culture is built around the offensive side.
That's what he needs. He needs a culture that's already in place on the offensive side of the ball to improve the defense.
I think San Fran just it screams him. You know, they're that tough-nosed team.
More of like a Chip Kelly type guy.
Something like that.
I think that I think San Francisco is definitely a team that he.
I feel like they meet so they just match so well. Yeah. Where they're tough nosed, they're defense minded. They still have Kaepernick. We've seen has been good. He's had a rough year.
Defensive minded,
gritty,
and NFC West, like you were saying.
San Francisco, winning in San Francisco. Like, who doesn't want to win in San Francisco? If you're a football fan, you know the championship pedigree that's in San Francisco.
And you know Rex, and he ate this New York media up. He loved every second of it for most of the years. If you go to Atlanta, it's going to be nothing. It's going to be boring.
And he's the type of guy, like, he liked playing against Belichick twice a year. He would love playing against the Seahawks twice a year.
Seahawks twice, Cardinals twice, Rams twice, who aren't no
He's
slouch.
not the guy to shy away from competition.
I mean, that to me is just a much tougher situation. And when you look at the teams that you have to face, I mean, you got to face those teams 6 times.
Because you look for the easy way out, Rich.
Yeah, that's
it's
tough.
It's not a matter of looking for the easy way out. It's a matter of picking a place where you're going to be the coach for longer than 1 year.
Yeah, but that's tough. What's tougher, NFC West or the AFC East, where the Patriots win every single year? And you know you're coming in second.
If your goal is to win championships, having a tough regular season schedule isn't what's going to deter you.
No, I don't think there's really a wrong answer. I think they're both pretty good spots.
They're both good jobs for him.
I think Chicago should be in there also.
Chicago's another situation, but I think Chicago's more more about questions
Up in
because
the air,
it's
yeah.
going to be like, what is Rex going to do about Jay Cutler?
Yeah.
So I think if you're the Chicago Bears owner and you're looking for a new coach, you're going to be looking for a coach who can come into the interview and tell you what to do
They're
with
looking for
Cutler.
a GM first off.
Yeah, they fired Phil Emery as well, so now they're looking for a general manager now. But I think with this whole Chicago job, they're going to be looking for a coach and a general manager who come in with a plan to fix Jay Cutler. There's no way that Rex Ryan's coming into an interview with a plan to fix a quarterback because that's just not Rex Ryan.
That's not what he does.
Rex is going to come in and tell you how to fix the defense, which Chicago needs also. I mean, Chicago had so many problems on defense as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Rex Ryan and Jay Cutler mix personalities. That seems like it's a headbutt situation just waiting to happen.
It's probably true. I think I would go San Fran. I want him to go to 1, then ESPN, and then Atlanta.
San Fran, ESPN, Atlanta. I think for him, I mean, I think you're right in terms of he loves the challenge. So I think San Francisco would certainly be a good spot for him because I mean, could you imagine him going up against the Seahawks twice a year? How great those games would be. How great his press conferences would be about going up against the Seahawks.
It's already must-watch TV when it's Harbaugh.
Absolutely. Could you imagine at his press conference or when he's in Seattle saying, hey, we're coming to beat you twice next year? I mean, could you? That would just
We're coming to kick your ass.
We're coming to kick your ass twice
and
next year.
I think he would elevate that defense even more.
Right, but he also
Justin Smith just retired too.
Really?
Defensive lineman for San Francisco.
Wow.
Oh yes.
But now also with San Francisco, how does he fix Colin Kaepernick? Because Kaepernick's now a quarterback who's regressed.
I think that's a very simple answer. What you saw a lot this year out of San Francisco was they moved away from the running game more times than
Which
not.
obviously Rex would bring back. Rex is a
Rex
very
loves
ground
the
and
run
pound
game.
guy.
He's
yeah.
big on, let's run the football, even though, most of the time this year they weren't giving it
And it
to
was
the
very
correct
injury
running
riddled.
back. But, he's big on running the football, so he'll be feeding those backs the ball. He'll throw in probably that read option again and throw all that stuff in. I don't think Rex would be as concerned as much as, not running the ball and not running the read option to keep Kaepernick healthy. I think Rex will be more like, this read option is what brought all the success. The run game is what brought all the success. We're going to keep running this damn ball, and that'll open up our passing game.
And plus, they have Carlos Hyde now, who's looking very promising as a rookie this year.
That's right. No, I think, in my personal opinion, I think the best place for him to be successful is Atlanta. I think he's got the most stuff there in terms of what he has talent-wise. He's got Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Not to mention they have a top pick and an owner who's willing to spend a lot of money. So I think Atlanta, for him to be successful, is the best place for him to go. But knowing Rex and knowing his personality, San Francisco, that gritty team that goes up against those big-time teams that Rex just loves. He loves those big-time matchups. When the Jets were playing the Patriots, Rex loved it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you could really see him getting excited about going up against the Seahawks twice and the Cardinals twice. But I think the best place for him to be successful would be Atlanta. There's really no wrong answer here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, San Fran's, but I think we're all hoping for that ESPN gig also. But to see him out on the field would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think ESPN's going to be a legitimate spot for him to land. I think he's
going to win one of the because we've seen him talk when he goes into an interview. I can't really imagine he kills it every time he's in an interview room because the passion he has.
Yeah,
he kind of just bleeds through him. So once you see that passion in the interview room, you kind of want to sign him.
He's like him or love him. Love him or hate him.
I was reading an article, and the article was, I forget who was written. It was in the Post, but it was written by somebody, and they said that a lot of people in media, CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN, they think that Rex Ryan's like the next John Madden.
That could be.
Which, I mean, I guess if you think about it, is possible. Kind of like that outgoing bravado type guy. Except, obviously, Madden has a Super Bowl on his resume.
The Super Bowl kind of changes.
Yeah. But, I mean, Rex Ryan, obviously, whenever he's in front of a TV screen, you got to watch because you never know what he's going to say. And just because he's on ESPN, don't think he'll filter himself because, I mean, he's going to go off and
he'll just find words within the FCC's regulations that he can say to get the same point across.
Exactly. I think that would be great for everyone to watch him on TV, but I just don't think that's a legitimate
I don't think
spot
it's yet.
for him.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe
too
later
soon.
on in his career. He wants that Super Bowl, and he wants it bad. I think he's going to try to get that before he
Yeah, because a lot of people that go to the ESPN, they don't really leave ESPN. They usually stay there.
They love it.
It's like where your career goes to end.
Not really to end. I mean, really
to
a lot of
thrive, I'd say.
To thrive.
New career.
Yeah, it's like a new career. Look at John Gruden just signed a contract through 2021 with ESPN.
Bill Cowher's the same way.
Cowher at CBS wants nothing to do with coaching anymore. He loves it. He sits there and he watches games.
Why not? He works, 2 days a week, gets to spend time with his family all the time. He still gets paid just about the same amount.
He probably, I mean,
There's no really negative
love
to
it.
it. And, I mean, but I guess Cowher won a championship. Gruden's won a championship.
Yeah,
right?
that's why I
So-
think Rex isn't going to do TV yet, because I think he still wants to chase that elusive championship.
He's got a check mark.
But I think that another place that we're not really mentioning, you mentioned it before, but Atlanta, San Francisco, I think Chicago's got to be mentioned in the conversation. I just don't think that that's a good spot for him to go. I don't think Chicago would work out that well at
I
all.
just think they're not jumping the gun yet. I think they're waiting for some more coaches to get fired after this week.
Right, but I think that
Like Monday Part 2.
when we talk about Rex, I mean, if you win a Super Bowl in Chicago, you're a legend. I mean, you are a legend, and that's pretty much.
Well, it's the same thing in San Francisco, though.
Not really. Not as much as Chicago. The Bears are a different organization. They're a different animal. If you win a championship in
From San
Chicago,
Francisco.
What happened?
Name an ex-coach from San Francisco.
What do you mean name an ex-coach?
Name a San Francisco coach that won a Super Bowl.
that won a Super Bowl.
Name a Chicago Bear coach that won a Super Bowl.
Ditka.
Good point.
So, I mean, if you win with the Chicago Bears, you have pretty much a beeline right for the Hall of Fame. So, I think that Chicago, obviously, that's appealing to Rex. You mentioned that his father coached there as well, was a defensive coordinator of that 85 Bears team that won the Super Bowl. All these jobs, I think, appeal to Rex because I think they're all good spots for him to land. For me, it's just Atlanta's a little bit better of a situation.
Okay.
And yet you also have to take into account any coach that takes the 49er job, is the fact that Jed York just fired a coach that was 42-19 going to turn you off?
I don't think. I think it was just
don't think it was performance
chemistry.
thing.
There's just no chemistry between the team and him. I don't think it's because he's bad
Chemistry
coach.
is chemistry, but winning is another thing. If your team is constantly getting the Super Bowl, getting the NFC Championship games, listen.
If the guy's winning for you, but he ticks you off, are you going to keep him around when you can find someone else to win for you?
But is Rex not like that personality that you either like him or love him?
I guess so, but
Like him or love
players
him?
all love him, where the players in San Francisco were wearing
They hated
thin with
Jim Harbaugh,
Harbaugh.
yeah.
So I think that's the only difference. That's why he's probably
Which,
gone.
By the way, how about all the San Francisco 49ers players coming out on their Twitter and their Facebook thanking Jim Harbaugh and saying, we love what you've done for us here.
That happens when any coach gets
Because
fired.
they went to the AFC Championship and the
But
Super Bowl.
If you loved what he did for you and you
He'd still
loved
be
him,
here.
he'd still be there.
Possibly,
Clearly, there was a problem somewhere.
but they could be just taking the high road also.
Ugh, please.
Maybe they were the ones that did the anonymous source that said they didn't like him, and now they're just covering their backs by saying all
Yeah,
this
but
stuff.
the majority, like Kaepernick, comes out and said he loved Harbaugh, he loved
Well,
playing
yeah.
for him.
I think
mean, come
Kaepernick
on.
always had his back because he made Kaepernick who he is.
Yeah, but I mean, if
Should we move to the hole that Rex left?
the hole that Rex left, yes, we will do it
Right after this.
after this break. What's going on, guys? This is Rich Warnock, and I'm one of the co-hosts here at Sports Justice. Listen, we all know that Monday mornings at the office are the worst, but I promise that if you tune into Sports Justice at 10 a.m. on Cyber FM radio, we can kickstart your morning better than that huge cup of coffee you probably desire to get going. We here at Sports Justice don't just have you covered in the morning, but also for that mind-numbing rush hour drive home on Wednesdays at 5. And don't forget our NFL preview show on Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. Not in front of a computer? No problem at all. Be sure to download the Cyber FM radio app to listen to Sports Justice on the go. So just to recap, that's Monday mornings at 10 a.m., Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m., and Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. It's Sports Justice.
Hey guys, this is Sean Snyder, one of your hosts of Sports Justice on Cyber FM Radio. We're doing a lot of stuff on our social media, so we want to make sure you guys are able to get a look at it. Check out our Facebook, Sports Justice, our Instagram, Sports Justice, our Twitter at Sports_Justice, and while you're at it, check out our website, Sports.Justice.radio.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave us some feedback.
When you talk dirty to me. You talk dirty to me. Talk dirty to me.
Welcome back to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. Once again, the phone number, 516-858-5837. Want to hear from you, give us a call. Want to hear your opinion. Where do you think Rex Ryan goes? Where do you think is the best spot for him to land? Now we'll get into the spot, like Billy said, going to the break there, the hole that Rex Ryan left open. Now it sounds like Woody Johnson's starting to set up some interviews with Charlie Casserly and Ron Wolf, his two consultants that he brought in here. It sounds like they're pretty high on this guy from Seattle, the Seahawks defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. Now, Dan Quinn is like I said, the defensive coordinator in Seattle. Local guy, coached Hofstra for a little bit, born in Jersey. You have to wonder, would he want to come back to the East Coast? Well, it certainly sounds like the Jets are high on him.
As we get a phone call here.
All right.
Hello, you're on Sports Justice.
It's Jeff.
What's going on?
Not too much. How you guys doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
All right. Not bad, not bad. I think you guys hit it on the head. I think the good fit for Rex would be Atlanta, but I think the challenge would be San Francisco.
Right.
So, but I'd kind of like to see him go to San Francisco. I think.
San Francisco would certainly be the appealing one, I think, for Rex, mainly because, like you said, he loves a challenge. He loves going up against the best. And, I mean, who better to go up against twice a year than Seattle?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And I can see him being the next Madden, without a doubt. He's got that swagger that Madden had.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of people in the media feel like, and I feel like that's why ESPN's making a strong push for him, because they want to try to lock him up now before NBC and CBS and Fox make their pitches, because certainly it sounds like all those major markets are going to be interested in Rex Ryan.
Oh, I definitely think, and the one coach you forgot I'm forgetting his name, the guy from Baltimore that's now on
Gary Kubiak.
Who's that?
Gary Kubiak?
Not Kubiak.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. He's talking Brian Billick.
Brian Billick, that's it. That's the other guy. I don't think you'll ever see him leave TV again.
Yeah, I mean, you see it with Bill Cowher, loves TV. John Gruden, loves TV.
Every one of them.
Dungy loves TV, but I think the one thing that you can kind of point to that all these guys haven't, Herm Edwards, another one, the thing that you can point to for the most part that all these guys have in common is they've all won Super Bowls. I mean, with the exception, obviously, of Herman Edwards and Eric Mangini, who now works for ESPN. They've all won Super Bowls. So for the most part, they've accomplished what they wanted to in their career, where Rex, nobody wants a Super Bowl more than Rex. So I can see him working in the NFL until he gets that Super Bowl, then making the transition to television.
Right. And I think with the exception of Mangini, even if you look at Herm Edwards, he had a successful career.
He did have a successful career, more as a player, 10 years playing as a cornerback, but as a coach, obviously with the Jets, took them to the playoffs, I believe, 3 times out of his 5 years with the Jets, never got past the divisional round, then he went to the Chiefs, and that was successful in some areas, not so successful in others, but he had a pretty successful career as a player. I think his most successful endeavor is now in television. I think he's a great analyst.
Yes, I don't think I haven't heard too much from Mangini, but
we never heard much from him when he was a coach either.
Yeah, you listen to Billick, you listen to Edwards, you listen to Gruden, all these guys. It's like a natural transition for them to go into the booth. They're extremely knowledgeable, and they keep you entertained.
Oh, yeah. I mean, guys like Gruden, I mean, you love to listen to him on Monday nights. You look forward to it, him and Mike Tirico. Same thing with John Madden. When he was working with Al Michaels, he was working with the guy who passed away now.
Pat Summerall.
Yep, yeah. Pat Summerall. Yeah, when they were working together, I mean, you look forward to those games. That's why they put them in the primetime spot. I think Rex fits right in there.
Yeah, I think he definitely would be extremely entertaining, without a doubt.
Very entertaining. I could definitely see him
on NFL Game Day next to Bart Scott again.
Oh, can't wait for that.
Can't wait.
Be a little dangerous.
That could be a little dangerous. You're right. Yeah, that could get a little ugly at certain points. But
I honestly think if he goes anywhere but ESPN, he's going to go to I guess it's a combination of NBC and NFL.
Yeah, I could see that. NBC
in there.
I could see it. Maybe NBC. Maybe he replaces Chris Collinsworth. I mean, Chris Collinsworth is good at what he does, but I think he's more on the weaker side in terms of the analysts that call games.
Yep. I would agree with that.
Well, all right. Thanks for the call. We always appreciate it.
Enjoy your gifts and have a happy New Year.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, talk to you later, guys.
Take care. Happy New Year. Always a great call. I think he's right. I think that Rex eventually will make the transition over to television, but not quite yet.
Just a matter of when.
Just a matter of when. I think if once he wins that Super Bowl, he closes out his career. He finally gets it. And I think, listen, Rex is one of the more determined coaches you'll ever see in the National Football League. I mean, don't get me wrong. All NFL coaches, no matter who you are, whether you're Ron Rivera, Sean Payton, no matter who you are, you want to win the Super Bowl. But, I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult to find a guy who wants to win it more than Rex Ryan. I mean, Rex Ryan has wanted that Super Bowl since he was a kid, since he watched his dad win it in 1985 with the Bears. He wants it, and he wants it bad. I don't see him giving up on that dream to go to television just yet. If he gets it, then he goes television, and he puts the capper on a great career as a great analyst.
Yeah, but getting back into the Jets now. So you said Dan Quinn. There was
Dan
a couple
Quinn-
other guys I know they mentioned. Jim Mora
Yep.
is on the Jets' radar.
Well, it sounds like Woody Johnson and Charlie Casserly and Ron Wolf are very, very high on Dan Quinn.
Well,
they're actually flying out to Seattle on Friday to meet with him.
I
So
read a
it's-
couple
I
of
mean,
things that they're looking for another defensive-minded coach.
Well, that would be their fourth in a row. I mean, the last three coaches have all been defensive-minded. Herman
I don't
Woods,
like
Eric Mangini, and Rex Ryan.
I don't like it at all. And I heard Dan Quinn, you know who he's represented by?
He is represented by Mike Tannenbaum.
Mike
I believe.
Tannenbaum is
Yes.
correct, which is
Yeah.
interesting move on Woody's part. Bring him
Interesting
Tannenbaum back kind of in the organization a little
That's
bit,
right.
if that's the case.
There was actually a report the other day, I believe on Sunday, that Charlie Casserly called the agent for Rex Ryan and requested information about another coach, which obviously was not. I mean, the agent for Rex Ryan obviously knew then and there that Rex's time with the Jets was done.
Yeah.
And it
I
turns
think Rex
out,
already knew also.
If you're his
Yeah.
agent, what do you really?
you represent both guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, then it turns out that the agent that he represents is Jim Mora. So obviously, that's another one that the Jets are interested in.
Don't want it.
Absolutely
Let me
no part
throw
of
a
that
name
one.
out there. Jack Del Rio.
No.
Eh.
I don't want it.
I'd rather him than Jim Mora by far. But
To be perfectly honest with you, there's not one name that I've heard in terms of the interviews that they're setting up that blow me away.
No, when he was talking about the Ravens, I think he was talking about Gary Kubiak because he's actually getting interviewed by the Jets this weekend.
And he's
also.
an offensive-minded coach as well.
Yeah.
Kubiak.
He's probably next to Dan Quinn. He's probably the second best.
I don't want Quinn at all. I really
You don't want Quinn, huh?
I don't want another defensive-minded. It hasn't really worked out. We need an offensive-minded. It's not about defense anymore. The Seahawks are the one team that are a top defensive team that are Super Bowl contenders. Everybody else is offensive.
From what I've seen, or from what I've heard, actually, every person that they have set up with an interview for the Jets, Dan Quinn, and then another one that they have set up for an interview in terms of the general manager spot is Trent Kirchner. Trent Kirchner is the
I don't
assistant.
want him. You know who I want?
He's the assistant GM of the Seahawks.
No, I want this guy. I want this guy from Dallas, Will McClay.
No, I want
He's-
Eric DeCosta. Eric
No.
DeCosta is the right
Ravens
It's a long list now.
Will
The list
McClay,
is very,
through the
very long.
draft, built the best offensive line in football the last 3 years to protect Tony Romo
Is
and
he even on the
DeMarco
list
Murray.
in terms of people that they are interviewing?
Yeah, I'm reading an article right now
Will
about
McClay?
it. They reached out to Dallas to get an interview with him.
Some interesting candidates are, I think, Trent Kirchner, like we said, Seattle,
He's
the
director
assistant
of pro personnel.
pro personnel out there in Seattle. Now, it depends on whether Woody wants to go back to Seattle. Seattle, you got to remember, is where he got John Idzik from. Although he got John Idzik from the bottom of the
Well,
barrel
you know,
out
we
there
have
in
those
Seattle.
close ties with Seattle.
Yeah, that's
So-
right. So
Well, with the Seahawks, with John Idzik, it was also that law firm or whatever that search
that recommended him, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Trent Kirchner is obviously a guy who actually had a hand in the building of that, obviously, now dynamic Seahawks team.
I mean, two hands, not just like
Two hands. He had
like
both, yeah. But, yeah, that's right. But
that's why I want Will McClay. What's our biggest issue been? The draft. And this guy's the draft
so
guru
I mean,
out
Kirchner
in
is great at that
Dallas.
too. Kirchner obviously built up the Seahawks for the draft. You look at Russell Wilson. You look at, I mean, all the guys they got out there. There's really no bad candidate that I've heard so far. But obviously, there's not going to be a bad candidate. You're not going to interview bad candidates. But
Well, John Idzik was interviewed.
Yeah,
That
they
was a bad
screwed
one.
that up last time.
that was a bad one.
And meanwhile, yeah, Idzik was just a salary cap guy. That's it, which is weird enough that you would hire just a salary cap guy. Where this guy, what's his name, Kirchner?
Well, he did
Kirchner,
that.
Trent Kirchner.
But
don't
then
have
again,
salary
also
cap problem
the
anymore.
Idzik hiring, as you said, was through the law firm.
Yeah, which
now
is
we're going through football
dumb
minded
anyway.
people who actually have half a brain when it comes
And
to
this
the
guy,
situation.
he's the right hand man to the personnel guy, Kirchner, and he's
Yes.
supposed to be a top
he
guy.
makes a
coming
lot
up.
of the decisions. I think that I mean, if you kind of look at it, you can kind of see what Woody Johnson has in mind here. I mean, you could see he's going after Trent Kirchner. It seems like they're very high on him. They booked him for the interview first out of anybody.
They're going after guys who know how to draft.
right, and they also obviously went after Dan Quinn, and
also Tom Cable.
Tom Cable's another one. I don't like that one.
I don't know. I might like that offensive line coach. And they said there was rumors.
Also with the Seahawks now.
Yeah, there was rumors that if he comes, he might take Marshawn Lynch with him.
So now we get an old, aging.
An
Marshawn
old
Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch who dominates every game he plays.
I mean, I'd rather have
Imagine
Ivory.
that. We can get rid of Chris Johnson and just every play, either Marshawn Lynch and Chris Ivory, have them lowering their shoulders and
You
killing
have a problem
people.
with that, Rich?
I really don't. No, I really don't.
Rich
But
doesn't like it, though. It's
it's-
not good enough for
I mean,
Rich.
is Tom Cable really going to bring
No,
Marshawn
I mean,
Lynch
it's
with him?
hard to
Come on.
judge him because he was the coach of the Raiders.
Didn't he have an issue with
he punched
beating
somebody
his
in the face,
wife
yeah.
or something?
Oh, yeah. yeah.
I think he punched one of his players in the
One of his
face.
players.
He
It
went
was his wife, too. Didn't he have a domestic
Yeah, he had
violence?
something with
maybe
his wife.
17 and 27 was his record, but that's with Oakland, so it's kind of you got to take it with a grain of salt because Oakland stinks no matter who the coach is. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would like one of those guys, but I mean everybody else they're hiring or not hiring, interviewing is defensive minded. I don't like the defensive minded. We've
I
went with
really-
it.
it
Rex
do-
is the top defensive mind you can find, and we weren't that successful.
It
for a
doesn't
while.
matter to me what side of the ball you come from. I don't care if you come from the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. the main factor that would determine whether or not you are a good head coach is that you have a hand in both.
Yeah.
Is that, you know what? And I heard this yesterday on WFAN from Joe Beningo. He said the best coaches out there are the ones you can't even remember where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick, you don't remember whether he's an offensive or a defensive coach. You don't remember whether Tom Coughlin is offensive. Right. Tom Coughlin's another one. You don't remember if he was an offensive or defensive coach.
Right.
I mean, you don't remember.
You just know him as a good coach.
Right. You just know them as a good head coach who have hands in both. Now, obviously, with Belichick, Tom Brady actually had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And obviously with Coughlin, Eli Manning as well.
But, I mean, even look at Pete Carroll. He never really found a niche on one side
both.
of the ball.
Those best coaches have hands in both.
Exactly.
That's why Belichick does both of them, but that's why it's hard to find somebody right now.
But it's very difficult.
It's the fact that they're I don't know how they're interviewing head coaches right now when they need a GM first.
I found that a little bit strange too, and I texted Sean that yesterday. I said I think that it's a little bit strange. I mean, usually the structure or the way that things usually go in the NFL is that you have a general manager. The owner will hire the general manager with his consultants, i.e. Ron Wolf and Charlie Casserly.
Right.
And then together, all those guys as a consensus, those three hopefully football guys, will think about it and put together and find the right head coach.
Well, the way I think it should be is that, Woody Johnson just hire the GM and then just sit back and don't do anything else. Because we saw what happens when he hires people. He goes with Idzik and all those guys.
I think
take a seat, and you hired the GM to get the head coach and the people on this team.
Right.
That's your job. Casserly can have a role in it. Wolf can have a role in who else, once they find this GM, who can be a good coach for the system. But Woody Johnson doesn't know anything about football.
No.
What does he know about football? He knows about shampoo and Band-Aids.
That's right.
Why would he need
baby powder
and baby powder? Why would he need to be in the head coach thing? He writes the check, obviously, so that's what he needs to know. I'm sure he has a little bit of a say in it. But the fact that he would have anything to do with it, I think you hire the GM to get the head coach. The head coach goes with whatever the GM puts as a roster. The head coach's job is to coach those guys.
Right.
So Idzik, that's why his problem was salary cap. He didn't know anything about player personnel.
No.
He didn't know anything about scouting.
Which is making me feel that they already have their general manager picked out maybe within the organization already. And just promoting
an in-house candidate?
Yeah.
Then why even interview some of these guys?
No, I doubt that.
For
I don't
general
think
manager?
so.
I heard
Who
that
else? I mean, honestly, everybody I think in this organization needs to go. So I don't know, no matter where you look in terms of that Florham Park offices, I don't think there's anybody there worthy of being a general manager of
But
this
them
team.
not being so out there about their candidates is making me think it's a in-house candidate.
I mean, they've been pretty much out there. I mean, they said they're interviewing Trent Kirchner. They said they were going after Eric DeCosta, obviously the guy that Sean brought up, from Will McCauley, you said, from Dallas. Will McClay from Dallas. Eric DeCosta, I think, is an interesting one because he's been Ozzie Newsome's right-hand man for the last 6 or 7 years.
Right.
And has actually turned down a bunch of offers from a bunch of different teams, mainly because he knows that he's the next in line once Ozzie Newsome steps down. So I don't think that's a legitimate candidate. But I think for the most part, if you really look at what the Jets are doing here, you look at who they're interviewing, Trent Kirchner, Dan Quinn, what they're trying to do is build a Seahawks East. And that's really all they're trying to do. They're trying to take all the minds. Move. That's not a bad move at all. You're trying to take all the football minds from Seattle that built up that Super Bowl team and that could possibly win a Super Bowl this year and just bring them to the Jets.
Yeah, and
I mean, they did it with John Idzik last year as well. They're trying to get all those Seahawk guys in here.
And they picked the worst one. And that's
they
what
did
makes
pick
me
the
a
worst
little
one. Yeah.
hesitant to go after the Seattle guys. But you just don't go after a salary cap guy when you need player personnel. It just
Trent
makes no
Kirchner's
sense.
not a salary cap guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's a
So that's why
football
with
guy.
Idzik, though.
No, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. I think that Woody Johnson, obviously knows he made a mistake with that, and that's why he's hired Charlie Casserly and Ron Wolf. I think those guys are going to have the majority of the say. Obviously, Woody will make the final decision, but he's going to certainly take into consideration what those guys give him.
Yeah. I agree, and we'll have to see. It's going to be a month-long process, maybe even longer to see.
I don't know if it'll be that long. I mean, it seemed like
you
Rex
wait
Ryan.
till the season's over. I feel like a lot of these guys can interview only Friday, and then you have to wait till they're eliminated.
Like some teams will act that quickly, but I don't think the Jets will have a head coach or GM until before the Super Bowl.
No, before the Super Bowl, I think you're right. I don't think they'll have a general manager or head coach before the Super Bowl because
Isn't that in February?
Yeah, February 1st.
Not January 1st. So it's pretty much a month. Okay.
It's pretty much a month. Yeah, but I mean, obviously because you can't hire these guys if they're still coaching in the playoffs. So I mean, obviously the Super Bowl, but I don't see it extending past then. I mean, maybe 2 weeks past Super Bowl tops, because you
a little over a month.
Yeah, but I mean not long.
Okay.
Not like too long, because you need to get these guys in here and start scouting players for the draft.
I understand.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we get back on Sports Justice, we're going to shift our focus from the NFL to the college football bowl games.
How you doing, guys? This is Paul Bonanno from Sports Justice. We love talking about sports, but what we love more is hearing from you guys. We talk about anything you guys want to talk about, and we love helping you bring home a fantasy football championship. We understand the struggle in picking out those starting lineups, and we provide the best advice you could find in a timely manner. So don't forget to get on the horn and join the debate. Give us a call at 516-858-5837. That's 516-858-5837.
Are you tired of hearing the same old voices on Sports Talk Radio?
We are receiving these returns through the cooperation and by special arrangements with the Pittsburgh Post and Sun.
It's time to try something new. Tune in to Sports Justice live on Cyber FM Radio.
Geno Smith is the worst quarterback in the National Football League, and the statistics prove it. Give me Tim Tebow. Well, maybe not really.
We also provide you with your up-to-the-minute updates in the world of sports.
Cleveland rejoice. The king is coming home.
Be sure to check us out on our social media, our Facebook, Sports Justice, our Instagram, Sports Justice, our Twitter, @sports_justice, and our website, sports.justiceradio.com.
Also, be sure to get your dose of Sports Justice 3 times a week. Mondays at 10 a.m., Wednesdays at 5 p.m., and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Also, feel free to give us a call at 516-858-5837. Welcome back to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. Once again, the phone number, 516-858-5837. Give us a call. We want to hear what you have to say. And now we'll turn all of our attention away from the NFL and towards tomorrow's big Rose Bowl matchup, and then obviously the big matchup against Alabama and Ohio State. But we'll begin with Florida State and Oregon in a matchup that's really been, highly acclaimed, highly talked about over the last couple of weeks, ever since it was announced about 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is going to be a great game. I mean, you got
if
the
you're
two.
a college football fan, this is
as good as it gets now if you're a college football fan. You got Marcus Mariota, the reigning, obviously Heisman Trophy winner. This year's Heisman Trophy winner against Jameis Winston, who won it last year. And the thing that I think makes this even more intriguing, more appealing, is that Jameis Winston's never lost. I mean, in his 2-year career as quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles, they haven't lost a game.
Ever.
Yeah.
in his life.
In his life, he's never lost.
High school either.
I think that comes to an end, however, tomorrow night, because I think that when you go up against Marcus Mariota...
Jumping with your predictions already, Rich?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter.
No suspense at all.
I'm taking Florida State if it helps. So there you go. That's 2 picks down. Two
out of the 4.
I like, I think this is an interesting matchup where I just think that if Florida State can keep it close in the second half, where if James does throw an interception early on and gives Oregon, scoring opportunities to start with, I think that Florida State has enough defensively and enough down the stretch in the crucial moments. I think Jameis Winston will win the game at the end.
He got the matzah.
The matzah?
Whatever you would
The
call
Kavorka.
it. The Kavorka.
No, the Kavorka is something else. Kavorka is one.
Let's leave it at that. Anyway, so Jameis Winston, though, I think he continues his streak, goes on to another championship.
No.
You hate both quarterbacks, so it doesn't really matter.
I do hate both quarterbacks, but no.
It's back-to-back Heismans. Hate them both. They both stink.
They both stink. I don't want them anywhere near my franchise.
How many Heismans have you seen become a bust? Come on.
How many have you seen become great?
A handful.
What handful? What are you talking about, a handful?
The point of the award is the best college football player. This is still
Johnny Football, baby.
Football. This is still college football we're talking.
Yeah.
So
who cares about their NFL careers right now?
We're not talking draft stocks. Not April just yet. We're talking college.
I'm more interested on what Billy has to say.
Billy's our college football analyst.
Yeah.
Here.
Billy, who are you taking in this game, and what do you think?
I honestly haven't even decided.
You know what Billy told me before the show? He goes, I think this is going to be a complete blowout. I said, oh, yeah, in which way? He goes, I have no idea.
Nice. I don't really know either, because I feel like I don't know much about Oregon, but I know that every year they always win against everybody by 40.
Oh, yeah, this is their shot, because they're always the team that gets snubbed.
Yeah.
And now the playoff system
is their chance.
This is exciting for them.
Yeah. And what happens with this? They play I know they both play tomorrow, and then next week they play for the championship?
2 weeks, I think.
Okay.
January 12th, I believe, is the date.
Is there a bye? Yeah, there might be a bye.
There's a bye week.
I hate this whole waiting thing.
Yeah.
I just want it to be over.
Which is about right, because usually
it's like the World Cup for you. You just couldn't wait for the World Cup to end. Now it's college football. You were excited about this.
Yeah,
and now you
Penn
can't wait
State
for it to
season
end.
is done. I'm ready for college football to be done.
I didn't even watch
Stop.
Penn State either.
You didn't even really watch Penn State. You watch them for 5 minutes when we do the show here.
Oh, please.
Break. Christian
Penn State season
Hackenberg.
is
He's
done.
a hack.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so Sean, who are you taking, and what do you think about the game?
I'm taking Oregon.
Obviously, he just hates Jameis more than
They're
anything.
going to have the nicest jerseys in college football postseason history.
Is that why you're taking Oregon?
I have nothing to say about it. I had a better analysis than he did.
Yeah, you did. No, you definitely did. I'm going to go Oregon as well, although I kind of gave my prediction away 10 minutes
I hope
ago.
I'm the only Florida State one. Billy, go with Oregon.
Do it, Billy. Oregon's hype.
No, he's feeling
They always
Jameis.
get snubbed. This is their time
Jameis
to
is my
shine.
guy.
They're going to step up on
Jameis
the
is
big
your guy.
He's
stage.
got the fourth quarter juice. Yeah, I got it. But I can't see the Heisman Trophy winner getting knocked out in the first. Well, I guess it's basically the semifinals. I guess, right?
Yeah.
After this game in the P, taking Jameis Winston. Okay.
As Jameis would say.
As Jameis would say.
I gotta go Winston also.
There you go.
So it's an even split.
I said it even 4 weeks ago. I said I was taking Florida State, and you guys were kind of yelling at me more.
You know what? You look at Florida State. You look at some of their wins this year. Yeah, they're undefeated, but I mean they won.
Yeah, they're undefeated. Like that's nothing.
No, I mean listen.
Yeah, they're undefeated, so
won-
they haven't lost a game. Whatever.
They won 4 games by like a margin of 4 points. which
And you
means
don't
they
think
were
this game's going
close.
to be a close game?
No, I think it's going to be close, but I think that they survived a lot of their games this year.
Yeah.
They got past some of these bad teams. You look at what they did against
This
Louisville.
isn't a game where they're going to have
Jameis
to survive. This is a game they're going to have to win.
Win, right. You're not going to be able to survive this game. You're going to have to go out and win it. And if
Well, but
Jameis...
if you survive it, you win it.
No.
It all goes by Jameis.
But
If he throws 2 early picks, this game is Oregon's going to win by 20.
If you look at some of the games that Jameis Winston has had this year, he hasn't had nearly the year that he had last year.
No.
You look at what he did against...
This doesn't have Kelvin Benjamin or half those guys that he had last year.
True, but you look what he did against Louisville. He threw 4 picks. Louisville's one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, if
How's
they
Oregon's
go in,
defense?
Huh?
How's Oregon's defense?
It's pretty good, but it's missing their top
Talented,
cornerback.
but it's not that that iconic defense you would
Okay.
see. Yeah, there's a lot of
And-
talent and speed on the defense.
And their cornerback is hurt. Their main cornerback, which I'm not
He tore his
even gonna
ACL, right?
try to pronounce his name.
I
It's
think
like-
I saw that.
It's like Ifo Ek.
He tore his ACL in practice,
I have no
right?
idea. Yes, he's out for
I heard
the
about
rest of
that.
the year. Yes, he's going to be a first round draft pick.
Practice.
Practice, but I mean, you look at what for the most part,
You know, the
Florida State
Jets
has
will take
survived.
him, watch.
Yeah, no, it's like T. Milner all over again. But
on paper, I think Oregon's a better team
yes,
right now.
I agree. I think Mariota's a better quarterback,
But
and then
when
Oregon's a better
when you
team.
turn on the lights and the game's going on, Florida State just has that extra.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to side with Billy. I'm going to say this is going to be a blowout. It's going to be a blowout in favor of Oregon. I don't
Okay.
think Jameis Winston's going to be able to compete with Marcus.
If it's a
Mariota
close game in the second half, I think it definitely favors Florida State, though.
because they have that winning pedigree.
Every
It's not
game
like
that they
Oregon,
do, but I'm saying every game that they win is it's a close game in the second half, and Jameis Winston pulls it out.
But it's not like Oregon has a losing pedigree. They're 12 and
No,
1.
of course not. Marcus Mariota's the type of guy where he doesn't throw any interception in his career. I just saw on the bottom of the screen before it says like he has the lowest percentage in his career of interceptions.
Yeah, he doesn't throw them.
I think this is going to be a game where he throws 2 or 3 interceptions.
Mariota.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Book it.
Booking it. All right.
Book it. He throws 2
Are you
and
gonna
a
watch it?
Is this the first book it we've ever gotten out of Paul?
Probably.
Have you booked anything
Probably,
yet?
yeah.
Doesn't sound like my
All right,
style.
so-
But I'm saying 2 interceptions, possibly 3.
All right,
Jameis
so-
might throw 2 or 3 also, but I think he's going to throw a touchdown at the end of the game to
So
win it.
you
or
are booking a Mariota day with 2 or 3 interceptions and a Florida State win.
book it.
So you're saying Mariota's going to look like Geno?
All right.
No, because 2 or 3 interceptions still they can score 35 points. He just
Yeah.
throws 2 interceptions.
2 or 3 interceptions
He'll
is
still
enough
probably
to
have at
lose
least
this
4
game.
total
Yeah,
touchdowns.
but let's say he throws an interception, James can throw an interception. They kind of even each other out.
Jameis,
so
I think, will throw interceptions. He's thrown one in almost every game.
he
this
probably
year.
will. Also, I think he's going to be. I just feel like Jameis lives
I'm
for this
saying
moment.
Jameis is going to throw a pick at the biggest point in the game sometime in the
I don't
fourth
like
quarter.
Jameis. I really don't.
I hate him.
I don't like him at all.
Hate him.
I can't. I think
Haters.
that. I think once he gets to the NFL, he's going to be so exposed. It's not even going to be funny because you look at what he does against
I
the
think
best
he's-
college.
I'm
football
rooting for that
defenses.
to happen.
Yeah, I don't like him. I just don't like him as a person either. But I mean, you look at. What he does against the best college football defenses, he struggles against them. I mean, granted, he wins the games, but he struggles against them.
He's going to be
you
the
know
next
Jameis-
Jamarcus Russell.
You know what Jameis is saying to you?
Sure, that could be a good comparison.
They hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because they ain't us.
they hate us because they ain't us. That's exactly what
Wait,
he's saying.
Ain't us?
What about an anus?
They hate us because
What
they
about
ain't
an
us.
anus? That's what
They hate us because they ain't us.
Huh?
Yeah.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Ain't us?
He didn't see the movie.
All right, go see a movie, Rich. Anyway, I'm
He's gonna
definitely
say it stinks.
He doesn't. He
The
doesn't.
interview.
understand.
That's where it's from.
It's the interview.
Oh, sorry.
Shout out to James Franco.
You're just
anyway,
peanut butter and jelly.
okay. Florida State. I already have my book it going on here. You want to move on to the next game now?
Alabama, Ohio State.
Alabama wins.
I agree.
I don't think there's anything else to say.
100%.
The only way that Ohio State would have had a chance in this game is if they had the number 1 quarterback. You're playing with a number 3 quarterback.
This would probably be the one time in college football history if there was an upset, I'd be upset. Upset, I'd be upset.
So if it happened, you would be
Yeah,
upset.
because I feel like because either team from the previous matchup will kill Ohio State.
I'm going to be honest with you. Tomorrow, I think there's going to be 2 blowout games. I think Oregon's going to blow out Florida State. I think Alabama's going to blow out Ohio State. Ohio State is not in the same class as Alabama. They're a great team, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, that Nick Saban defense and the way that Amari Cooper is rolling right now for Alabama, I see no way in which Ohio State can
there's
compete.
no chance that a number 3 quarterback can come out and destroy a Nick Saban defense. It's not happening. It's unheard of.
Urban Meyer's a good coach, but, I mean, it's just not.
You're working with a number 3 quarterback.
Not
You're
Nick
not going to win a
Saban-esque.
game like this.
No.
Not a chance.
Nope.
So
Nice.
It's unanimous here?
Yeah, I don't
Are
know.
you going Alabama, Paul?
Yeah, of course.
Paul,
He's the first
you
one to
seem
go
like an
out.
Ohio State type of guy.
I don't know what that means, and I hate that you said it. That's
Oh, that's the
Miami,
you.
what am I doing?
What are you doing
I'm looking
here?
and I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I don't know what he's doing.
Throwing
He's
up gang
flashing
signs
the
over
U
here.
at me.
He's throwing up
Rich
gang
is a little
signs.
lost, so we're going to take a break and let him get his stuff together. When we come back, we're going to switch gears and go to some NBA talk right here on Sports Justice. Are you tired of hearing the same old voices on Sports Talk Radio?
We are receiving these returns through the cooperation and by special arrangements with the Pittsburgh Post and Sun.
It's time to try something new. Tune in to Sports Justice live on Cyber FM Radio.
Geno Smith is the worst quarterback in the National Football League, and the statistics prove it. Give me Tim Tebow. Well, maybe not really.
We also provide you with your up-to-the-minute updates in the world of sports.
Cleveland rejoice. The king is coming home.
Be sure to check us out on our social media, our Facebook, Sports Justice, our Instagram, Sports Justice, our Twitter, @sports_justice, and our website, sportsjusticeradio.com.
Also, be sure to get your dose of Sports Justice 3 times a week. Mondays at 10 a.m., Wednesdays at 5 p.m., and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Also, feel free to give us a call at 516-858-5837. What's going on, guys? This is Rich Warnock, and I'm one of the co-hosts here at Sports Justice. Listen, we all know that Monday mornings at the office are the worst, but I promise that if you tune into Sports Justice at 10 a.m. on Cyber FM Radio, we can kickstart your morning better than that huge cup of coffee you probably desire to get going. We here at Sports Justice don't just have you covered in the morning, but also for that mind-numbing rush hour drive home on Wednesdays at 5. And don't forget our NFL preview show on Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. Not in front of a computer? No problem at all. Be sure to download the Cyber FM radio app to listen to Sports Justice on the go. So just to recap, that's Monday mornings at 10 a.m., Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m., and Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. It's Sports Justice.
Hey, hit records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo? I do not stay at the Intercontinental. And anything I got is not a rental. I own that mom. Figured out the shit is simple.
Welcome back to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. Once again, the number 516-858-5837. Give us a call. We want to hear from you. We're shifting gears again. We went from the NFL over to college football. Now we're going to
College
shift.
football lasted 13 seconds.
College football lasted about...
As Paul predicted.
That was 10 minutes. What are you talking about, Paul? 10 minutes.
I don't think so.
It was definitely 10 minutes.
It was
10
more
minutes.
about
We wrapped up at
arguing with
2:45, came back at 2:50, and now it's 3 o'clock.
Right.
I wouldn't really say it was a college football. There was really not much insight given on the games.
There was some insight.
Yeah, and what about how much would you say we talked about Ohio State, Alabama?
Oh, nothing. We said it all. We said
Oh, we said Alabama, and then we moved on.
Alabama. Oh yeah. Next topic. Here we go.
But now we're going to shift gears again. We're going to move on to basketball, where David Blatt sounds like the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. I know Billy doesn't really like this topic here.
You know, Billy just doesn't like to talk about what's being talked about.
Yeah, I know. He likes to kind of go off the road a little bit.
Well, I'm with him here because I just think it's a stupid topic. But go ahead.
But it is what's going on right now. If you listen to LeBron James the other day in his post-game press conference, he said, I think it was completely misconstrued. I forget exactly what his quote was, but apparently he didn't instill much confidence in head coach David Blatt. Mm-hmm. And obviously the team now is on a bit of a losing streak after winning 8 in a row. I mean, they won 8 in a row, now they lost 2 in a row. They lost yesterday to the Atlanta Hawks without LeBron James, who was out with some knee soreness. And then you look at...
He missed his birthday. It was his birthday yesterday.
Oh, that's
Happy
right.
Happy birthday to the king.
Happy birthday to the king. Also, Kevin Love got hurt yesterday with some back spasms. So
yeah,
I think this whole David Blatt thing is a little bit blown out of proportion. I think that right now it sounds like his seat is getting hotter, and I really don't know why.
Same thing about Spoelstra, and then he went on to win 2 championships.
Exactly. The only thing is, I mean, it's
a
very
patience
similar
game.
situation. The only thing is, David Blatt's never coached in the NBA
Right.
before. He has no resume to
Doesn't
back
even
up.
need to be a head coach when LeBron
Well, did
James is
Spoelstra
on the
coach
court.
in the NBA before he was with the Heat?
Yeah, he won the championship with Dwayne Wade, didn't he?
Was he the
Oh,
coach
no,
of
that's
that
Pat
team? That was
Riley.
Pat Riley.
Yeah, but then he came in and they were winning games, and Dwayne Wade loved him, and that's why he was able to stay.
Gotcha. All right.
Well, It sounds like David Blatt now. His seat's getting a little bit hot, and like I said, I really don't understand it because when you look at David Blatt, you're looking at a coach who's never coached in the NBA prior to the however many games he's coached this year. What 40 games this year.
You have to give him time to grow along
Right.
with these players.
You
It's
also
a new
have to
core.
remember-
It's honestly a whole new team in Cleveland.
Now
You-
listen, it's a team full of stars. Expectations were way blown out of proportion to start this year.
Oh, 100%.
They're inconsistent. This is what happens.
Well, you also have to remember when
somebody has to take the blame. It's not going to go to LeBron. It's
No.
not going to go to Kevin Love. It's not going to go to Kyrie. It's going to go to the new coach who hasn't coached ever before.
Well, when David Blatt was
That's the
brought in here by the Cleveland Cavaliers, it was before LeBron James had even announced that he was coming back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
So he was brought in here probably with the expectation that this team was going to win about 15 games. You know, and now all of a sudden, I mean, he signs with the Cavaliers. He's thinking, okay, this will be a nice, easy transition for me coming out of Israel or wherever he was coaching. I think it was Israel. Comes out of there, comes into the NBA, and says, I thought it was Israel.
He
can look
coached
it up.
in Israel.
Israel, yeah. And then and won pretty much everywhere he was. So he figured, all right, this will be a nice, easy transition. I'm coming to the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know,
Sean's distracted. Let's don't digress.
No, but anyway, he thinks it's going to be a nice, easy transition for him coming into Cleveland. We'll win about 15 games this year. It'll be a nice adjustment period for me. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Love and LeBron James are on their way back to Cleveland, or LeBron's on his way back to Cleveland, and so is Kevin Love. And now all of a sudden, the expectations for this team go from having 15 wins all the way through the roof to now this team should win a championship.
Yeah.
And that's not easy for a new head coach in the NBA. So I think you need to give him more than 40 games. But obviously, like you said, Paul, the blame is not going to go to LeBron James. It's not going to go to Love. It's not going to go to Kyrie. It's going to go to the coach who's new in the NBA and has no pedigree or resume to back up the fact that is this going to get better? I mean, people don't know.
Listen, there's a famous saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. You got a
I've heard
rookie
that
head
before.
coach here.
I have heard that.
You
I've
have
heard
a
that
team
before.
of superstars that are all learning to play with each other for the first time because these guys haven't played with each other really before, minus maybe a couple of games in the Olympics or whatever on Team USA. But aside from that, I mean, these guys really don't have much in-game experience together. And, I mean, what are we, almost halfway through the season? A little away from it, a couple weeks till the halfway point.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not even at the halfway point in the season yet. These guys are still learning how to play together. They're still learning a rookie coach's system. The coach is still learning some things that may work and may not work. So I mean, it's going to be a learning experience. It's going to take some time.
Experience itself is the best coach there is. So you have to let them gel.
I will say this though, I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers are good enough this year to win a championship. And mainly
Not right now, no.
No, well, not right now, but just not in general. They don't play defense.
Right.
I mean, you look at what the Miami Heat did.
Well, the first year of the Heat, they weren't good enough to win a championship either.
They made it to the NBA Finals.
That doesn't
Right.
mean they're going to win, though. You know what
Cavaliers
I'm
can
saying?
very well make it to the championship still.
I think that they can make it to the conference finals, but
The
I see
East
no
is
way in which they
terrible.
advance to the NBA Finals.
The East is absolutely terrible.
I wouldn't go that far quite
Almost
yet.
any team that makes the playoffs can make
They
it to
are
the finals
terrible.
out of the East.
The Eastern
There's
Conference,
probably at least 4 teams. That
compared
you
to
can
the
make a
Western
case for.
Conference, is terrible. But there's
Well,
about
where
4
else
or
would
5.
you compare it to?
Well, I'm saying, like, it's not like the Eastern Conference has terrible teams in it. I mean,
Yes,
that's
it
just,
does.
look, the
Why-
Atlanta
why is it
Hawks, the
not-
Toronto Raptors, the Cleveland Cavaliers,
Terrible.
the Chicago
not
Bulls.
The
terrible.
Atlanta
How
Hawks
are
are
they
terrible.
There's a lot
They're
of
the
average.
first in the Eastern Conference.
And they stink.
Look at their record.
You
That's
can't
one-
say they stink because
How
they're
can you say
23
they
and
stink?
8.
The East has the
Oh,
most average
what a
teams.
terrible statement that was. The Atlanta
The,
Hawks.
the
stink.
thing I think you're trying to say is you're not scared of these teams.
Yeah, not one of them.
I'm not scared of Toronto. I'm not scared of
If you're a
Atlanta.
team
I'm
in
not
the
really
Western
scared
Conference,
of
you're not
Washington.
scared of them,
that
but if
much.
you're
if
the
I'm a team in the
Cavaliers, you should
East,
be.
I'm not scared of them.
No. Well, I mean, look at these bottom teams. I mean, Miami's the 8 seed. Then you got Brooklyn in the 7 seed. Milwaukee's the 6 seed.
Atlanta
Cleveland's-
is 23 and 8.
I just said
And
that.
any team in the East can beat them any given day.
Any team in the East.
The
Any,
Sixers
the
could
Knicks,
beat Atlanta.
The Knicks
The
could
Knicks
beat the
could beat
Hawks.
Atlanta.
Oh,
Yes.
stop. What are you talking about?
The Knicks can't beat.
The Knicks
don't-
can't beat anybody.
Atlanta does not scare anybody, though.
The
Nobody.
whole bottom half of the NBA, starting with the 8th spot down, cannot beat the Hawks. Nobody.
That's because the East stinks.
Miami can not beat the Hawks. They're 14 and 18.
Right, because the East stinks.
Right.
Keep going.
But,
Well, that's
no,
that
but
was my
he's,
point from the
no, but
beginning,
he's
was the
talking.
East stinks.
But
I'm saying it
they're not
doesn't
scared.
stink.
None of these
Out
bad
of
teams
those,
are
how many
scared of the
teams can you
Hawks.
see winning the Eastern Conference?
Well, how many can you see winning?
Any one of them because it's wide open.
Who can you see winning the championship over a Western Conference team?
Not one of them.
None of them.
That's what I'm saying. So out of
You could
anybody,
take teams that won't even make the playoffs in the West, and the Eastern Conference teams would lose to them in the championship.
yeah.
can see
I
that.
mean, Oklahoma City right now is out of the playoffs. New Orleans is out of the playoffs, and I think either of those teams can beat Toronto or Atlanta, who's the number 1 and number 2 seed in the East.
With the exception of
I think it's
the
between
Chicago Bulls, That's about it.
It's Chicago, Cleveland, and I guess Washington.
Washington could be in there. Yes,
I don't even think
Toronto
Washington-
could be in there as well
Raptors,
if you wanted to.
I don't know if they would.
Because they've been doing this
I don't know
without
if
DeMar
they win, but
DeRozan.
they're really tough out.
The Raptors are a tough team.
They
They're
are.
a tough team. They're 24-8 right now. They
They're
have
tough
Kyle
out.
Lowry. He's going off every day.
Yeah, and without DeMar DeRozan, I think they're like 11-4.
And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes we see it in a lot of cases. A team needs to have a big loss to know how to win,
right?
To learn how to win. I think that's what the Raptors had last year when they lost to the Nets.
It could be, and I mean, yeah, it's what the Heat had when they lost to the Mavericks. All those teams.
Last year, I think they were lacking experience, but now they're coming back with that experience.
And
that
Kyle
playoff
Lowry is
experience.
playing like an MVP.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't see any of these teams in the Eastern Conference beating Chicago, and that includes the Cavaliers.
It could be. I think Chicago's good.
There's
but
a lot of good series there. The Wizards would.
There
give
are
the
a lot
Bulls
of good series, mainly because they're so evenly matched.
And last time we saw Derrick Rose in the playoffs against LeBron, LeBron was covering him and shut him out.
Yeah,
and
but
did you
I mean,
see
that
the
was,
Bulls play the Wizards this year? It was a great game.
Yeah,
I'm saying Washington's a great team.
A 5-game series of that.
But I think Washington is probably the second best team in the East to Chicago, and then I would put the Cavaliers, and maybe even put Toronto before the Cavaliers. I don't think the Cavaliers.
Even the Hawks and
Listen,
Raptors.
We're talking about in one game. We're talking about 7-game series. 7-game series. I'm taking Cleveland in any one of those.
I don't know.
I am.
For as good as Miami was, I mean, obviously they were absolutely incredible offensively. 4 straight championships. You look at Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James. For as good as they were offensively, they were the best defensive team in the NBA. It wasn't
Right,
even
but they
close.
weren't the first year they were together.
That took time.
Second and third years when they were the top.
It took time, but there were guys there who were known for playing defense.
Right, because they were
You don't have
veterans.
that here.
Oh, I was saying this before. Kevin Love's never had to play meaningful defense. Kyrie Irving's never had to play meaningful defense.
So that means that he never has?
I don't think so
It
because
doesn't mean that they don't know how.
It just means they
If
never
they
have.
knew how,
The
then they would
closest
have
thing
played
to
it.
meaningful defense Kyrie Irving would have ever had to play was in the NCAA tournament, and he was hurt.
But
The Cavs just don't play.
And Duke
defense.
doesn't play defense.
You cannot win an NBA championship winning defense. You can't even get out of the Eastern Conference, and the Eastern Conference is the much weaker conference. You can't even get out of that without playing defense.
Yeah, well, this all started with the David Blatt conversation. I just think it would look so weak of Cleveland to just fire him this year.
I'm not saying that they're going to fire him now. I'm saying that it's possible he could be fired at the end of the year.
It depends on how they end.
Listen, if LeBron James does not like David Blatt goes.
Yeah, so we
That's
saw that
what
with
it comes
Mike
down
Smith.
to. Yeah, it's the same exact thing. Mark Jackson, I think, is the next head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, by the way.
I would like that.
I could see it. I mean, listen, if that's just the way it goes. LeBron doesn't get along with David Blatt. He doesn't believe in Blatt's system. Blatt gets the boot. That's just the way it is.
Hand down, man down.
But
that's what's gonna happen to them.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't mind that, but I
not
mean,
yet, though. Too early.
Yeah, obviously, and I think that's why all this talk just goes on. Like, if they're winning games, you don't hear any of this. So it's just a matter of that they're consistent. They just got blown out to the Pistons.
Same thing with Steve Kerr. He's winning games, so you're not saying.
Yeah, we
he's
don't
doing
know
more than winning games.
Yeah, he's
Steve Kerr,
dominating.
I mean,
He doesn't have to do
dominating.
much. He has the most talented team.
Yeah, well, I don't know about most
played
talented, but they have the best record. Yeah.
By the way,
Who's
best
played together?
backcourt.
How
Yeah.
unbelievable is it that Steve Kerr was almost the coach of the Knicks, and now they end up getting Derek Fisher, and their records are almost the complete opposite of each other.
They pretty much are.
They pretty much
Knicks
are.
are 5 and
Knicks are
20.
5
They're
and
25 and
28,
5.
and they're 25 and 5. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
absolutely unbelievable.
Carmelo's gonna shut it down soon.
Yeah, he needs to. Steve Kerr, I mean, doing a great job out there.
What was the other NBA
where
topics you
Derek
wanted?
Fisher looks lost.
Oh well, it's because he's on the Knicks. What else? What are the other topics you wanted to do?
Which, by the way, for the Knicks tonight, they get Andrea Bargnani back.
Which is even worse. They're gonna get worse. And I saw a Deadspin thing that said
Happy New Year's,
like
New Year.
Happy New Year.
it said like the Knicks just can't catch a break, and then the thing under it was Andrea Bargnani's coming back. That was it.
Typical.
It's pretty
How
funny.
is this guy a number 1 overall pick?
International, you never know. He was one of the first international guys to be drafted early.
That's true.
That's why.
Plus, the draft was a little bit weak.
He's just so bad. I hate Bargnani. I can't stand him.
He just looks it.
He just seems like he's a typical.
He doesn't even
Knick.
want to play. I'm surprised he's even coming back.
No.
Watch him sink 30 points tonight.
Yeah, good
You
for
know,
him.
he's
Against
the
the
Jason
Clippers.
Bay of
Which,
the
by the
New
way,
York
you look at the Knicks lineup tonight against the Clippers. No Shumpert, no Smith, no Dallenberg.
Mello?
Questionable.
Okay.
No Stoudemire. I mean, who's playing this game? You know, this is going to be a complete disaster. I mean,
Mr. Ware is gonna play.
Travis Ware. It's going to be Travis
AC.
Ware, Cole
Pablo.
Aldrich, Quincy AC, Pablo Prigioni. I mean, this is going to be embarrassing. And it's not even 2015 yet in the
Give the
season.
What do you
Sixers
mean?
a run for
Hold
their
on,
money.
hold on. What do you mean it's going to be embarrassing tonight?
It's
It's
been
been
embarrassing the
embarrassing.
whole year. That's true.
The whole team is embarrassing all of a sudden because Amari isn't playing and
Amari,
because
Smith, Shumpert, Dallenberg.
sounds like a
Melo.
better team to me.
That's possible. Watch him
It
win
sounds
tonight.
Like a better team that's going to give more effort than Amari and all those other guys.
Watch him win.
Doesn't matter to me.
No, it's absolutely embarrassing. This season is, I mean, one of the worst I think I've ever seen
Yeah.
I
in
might
any
actually watch
professional
it, though, 'cause
sport.
Blake Griffin is going to have some highlight reel.
He's going to have quite a highlight reel because we
He's
know
gonna
none of the
throw
Knicks play
some jams
defense.
down.
So, it's gonna be terrible.
You want to get on to your next topic?
Your
you wanted
other,
to talk
New
about
York
with
team?
the Nets and your...
Oh, the Nets and the Bulls yesterday?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we kind of covered it. I mean, we were going to talk about the Nets with a big win
When did
yesterday.
we cover it?
We did
it
not
was,
talk
it was
about
kind
the
of be a
Nets.
transition into the best teams in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, there's really not much to talk about. The Nets just had a great game.
So you want to just...
Now, we'll scrap it.
So then what would you like to go to next?
A break.
We'll take a break. We're definitely scrapping the Al Jefferson out 4 weeks because that leaves us
Because
nothing
that's the end
to
of the
talk
topic
about.
right there.
Yeah.
Al Jefferson is going to be out 4 weeks,
That's
guys.
the end
Hornets
of
are
the
still going to
topic,
stink.
Yeah. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and we'll discuss the Winter Classic.
Charlotte's 10-22.
What's going on, guys? This is Rich Warnock, and I'm one of the co-hosts here at Sports Justice. Listen, we all know that Monday mornings at the office are the worst, but I promise that if you tune into Sports Justice at 10 a.m. on Cyber FM radio, we can kickstart your morning better than that huge cup of coffee you probably desire to get going. We here at Sports Justice don't just have you covered in the morning, but also for that mind-numbing rush hour drive home on Wednesdays at 5. And don't forget our NFL preview show on Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. Not in front of a computer? No problem at all. Be sure to download the Cyber FM radio app to listen to Sports Justice on the go. So just to recap, that's Monday mornings at 10 a.m., Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m., and Saturday afternoons at 11 a.m. It's Sports Justice.
Hey guys, this is Sean Snyder, one of your hosts of Sports Justice on Cyber FM Radio. We're doing a lot of stuff on our social media, so we want to make sure you guys are able to get a look at it. Check out our Facebook, Sports Justice, our Instagram, Sports Justice, our Twitter at Sports_Justice, and while you're at it, check out our website, Sports.Justice.radio.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave us some feedback.
How you doing, guys? This is Paul Bonanno from Sports Justice. We love talking about sports, but what we love more is hearing from you guys. We talk about anything you guys want to talk about, and we love helping you bring home a fantasy football championship. We understand the struggle in picking out those starting lineups, and we provide the best advice you could find in a timely manner. So don't forget to get on the horn and join the debate. Give us a call at 516-858-5837. That's 516-858-5837.
Show me some of them Spanish dances and pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones.
Welcome back to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. Once again, the number 516-858-5837. We want to hear from you. Give us a call. I have no idea where it is, Billy. I have no idea where it is. There it is.
I didn't know what he was looking for this
He's
whole
looking for the
time.
marker.
I can't hear anything going on off the mics with these headphones
Oh,
on.
really?
That's the issue. So whatever you guys are doing when I'm wearing
All
the
right.
headphones, if you're not talking in the mic, I don't hear. I have no idea what's going on. I just see Billy pacing around with a board in his hand looking to do something.
Now we're on the same page.
Yeah, you see Billy,
Can't hear anything.
start saying stuff over there. This way Rich can see why I was lost for the last 5 minutes. As he just stands there
He
quietly.
says nothing. He's adjusting the board.
Anyway, so let's move on now.
Where's the volume for these headphones?
What do you mean?
They're a little low.
They're a little low? Mine I hear perfectly. A little low. Yeah, I could turn it up, but Paul always complains when I raise it that it's too
Well,
loud.
Paul doesn't have headphones in.
Well, no, he complains that he hears it coming out of Billy's headphones over there, and
Don't
he
say
hears
it's
himself
me,
talking.
because we had a caller 2 seconds after that say, "You're way too loud. Turn that off."
That's right, remember?
No, that was the background music. No, you said it a couple times about our voices, that you hear us talking in the background and we have to lower it.
What
No.
is going on?
Paul, don't talk on mic or anything. He's just like talking.
No one can know what he's saying. But
Yeah,
anyway, let's shift gears now. Play some puck. The Winter Classic.
Play some puck. I like Paul like that one too. He goes play some puck.
They're saying the Winter Classic's going to be delayed.
For what?
Because, well, first of all, they're saying it's going to be about 40 degrees, which is it's an iffy temperature to play in. But they're really concerned with the shadows at the National Park.
Sounds like a lot of hockey BS to me. Is what it sounds like. The lights are off. I can't play.
They're saying
40 degrees. Is that too warm?
It's close. I was thinking about building a rink in the yard a couple months ago, and the prime temperature is about 32 degrees for the ice to stay good outside.
Sounds like it's like a levels idea to him.
Then again, though, they also have
Yeah.
all this equipment to keep it cold and keep it frozen that
Like
I
an ice
don't
rink?
have. So, But the other main concern with them is they want the shadows to cover the rink because that'll drop the temperature down so it's cool enough, and it'll also prevent glare on the players' visors and them not being able to see the puck and prevent taking a puck to the face and any of that stuff. So they're saying by 2:30 in the afternoon, the shadows will cover the whole ice and everything would be fine. So they have that listed as the alternative start time right now, which was originally 1. But this isn't the first time this has happened. This happened a couple of years ago where it was delayed because it was too warm and the sun was beating down, so they had to wait until the shadows kind of came over. This is something that we're typically used to seeing now out of the Winter Classic with the weather.
Well, for me, I think last year it was in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, where Jim Harbaugh is now, and it was a complete blizzard, and and they were fine.
That was great.
But I think the part that I don't understand about all this is that you're coming up with all this. Could be delayed, 40 degrees. Did they play one of these Stadium Series games last year in California?
It got delayed.
It was a night game, though.
Yeah, but they still had to push it back. It was supposed to be like an 8 o'clock start. The game didn't start till like 9:30, 10.
But California, what's the lowest it gets? The lowest it gets is like 60 degrees.
They actually, for the California game, they had to make they used some completely new technology for the ice. They had a whole thing on it, actually, where they were, like, interviewing the guy who made, like, the rink and everything like that. And it was completely differently made than the other rinks they've used in the Winter Classic because it had to be able to work in that type of temperature. And I guess at the game time, it was a little too hot. So they had to, figure a bunch of stuff out. But they used a completely different technology than they used in the past to keep it cold enough so the ice would stay melted for that last year.
That's interesting.
Which was a great game, by the way. Anaheim Ducks versus the Kings.
That was
Phenomenal
a good one.
matchup.
I mean, the Winter Classic last year was great with the
It
Red
never
Wings and
fails
Maple
to
Leafs.
disappoint.
No, they're always great games. I think one of the best ones was the Rangers when they played the Flyers.
Oh, with the penalty shot, Danny Briere.
Yeah, got stopped by Lundqvist. And then
phenomenal.
the whole, they won it in Philadelphia. That was great. I was very shocked. I was talking to you the other day about this. You never saw the 24/7 between the Rangers and the Flyers.
No, I didn't even know such things existed.
See,
they ceased to exist in my mind.
I don't understand. That is something that is right up your alley. You got to watch it. It's all over YouTube. Just go and search it. You'll find it.
Yeah, I mean, you sent me the link for the one with the Rangers, and I also signed up for that. What's it, Epics?
Epics, yeah.
So I could watch this year's one, which I'm very intrigued by. I watched half of the first one because I had to get to work, but I
don't know. Paul, want to fill us in? He's all distracted that you're laughing. He's pointing to you and he's staring at you.
Nothing. Continue.
What is it? You got to fill us in now. You can't just laugh like that and then not tell us what it is.
Nothing. Don't worry about it. I'll show you during the break.
Okay, obviously.
So it's not appropriate for air. He shakes his head.
I'm looking forward to seeing this. We might have to rush to a break. But yeah, the Winter Classic, it really never fails to disappoint, and it's always exciting. I think the best part about it, too, is it kind of goes back to the roots of hockey. Everyone growing up playing on ponds or, playing in these rinks. I mean, even myself growing up here on Long Island, when you play, they have a ton of indoor rinks, but there's also a fair share of outdoor rinks where you have your games at. And, I mean, who doesn't love to play some pond hockey? So it really brings a lot of these players back to their roots when, they'd just be screwing around out on a pond somewhere with their friends or, back to when they were kids playing in these games outside and stuff like that. I really think it's a great thing for the sport of hockey, and I've liked what they've done with it over the last couple of years. The one thing that worries me, though, is they're getting into all these Stadium Series games now. I like the concept, and I like the fact that they're doing it. I just don't want them to overdo it.
Are there no Stadium Series games this year?
I believe there is. I know it's the Rangers aren't in it. I forget who they said it was. I could look it up for you. Just give me 1 second here. As he doesn't say anything while I'm trying to look this up.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything. I mean, usually last year it was very, very well documented that the game was going to be played at Yankee Stadium. It was going to be the Islanders and the Devils. The Rangers would play there twice, and they were great games. I mean, I remember we went to the bar and we watched the game against the Islanders. It was a great game. I think they won like 2-1. And then the game against the Devils, they were losing like 2-0, and they ended up scoring like 7 unanswered goals, and they won like 7-2.
This year it'll be played February 21st. And it will be in Los Angeles, in Santa Clara. It's the Sharks versus the Kings.
There's only one?
That's the only one they have listed on this website so far.
They had a bunch last year.
They had 2, I believe. They had
the one in California.
The one in
Yankee
California
Stadium,
and
I think there was
York.
one in Chicago, too.
Was there? They did 3?
Soldier Field.
Yeah, I think they're only doing 1 this year because everything I'm seeing just says 2015 Coors Light NHL Stadium Series Kings Sharks. I don't see anyone else. You know what, though? I'm fine with that, though. I feel like you do 3 a year, you're going to start to overdo it sooner or later.
I don't think so. I think it's always going to sell. I mean, I think it's a very easy sell. It's an outdoor hockey game. The weather always plays a factor, which is obviously always something that brings viewers. I mean, you look at the Winter Classic last year between the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs, blizzard, and it had some of the highest ratings ever because people want to see a hockey game played in a blizzard, and that's exactly what they got, and it turned out to be a great game, too.
I agree 100%, but at the same time, you can't also overdo it, because if you're starting to do 3-6 games a year, you know what I mean? If you're doing 3 games every year as a Stadium Series game plus a Winter Classic, that's 4 games a year. If you do it once a year, the Winter Classic, it's always been nice because, it's 1 game a year. It's an outdoor game. It's the only outdoor game a year. It's a rarity thing. It's something you don't see every day. You see it once a year, so it's something nice, like a change of pace. If you start doing it 4 times a year, all of a sudden it's kind of just going to be something you expect every year. So this year now it's only twice a year. They're doing the 1 Winter Classic, which is now going to be a thing every year, I'm assuming.
Right.
And they're trying to make this Stadium Series thing. I like that as a 1 thing a year game also.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying. What the NHL has done here is they found something that it really increases their sport. I mean, the NHL, for as long as we've known, has always been the 4th major sport out of all of them. And this is the first time that the NHL has really found something that brings a lot of viewers to it. I mean, it's a national game. It's on NBC. People want to watch. People want to watch outdoor hockey games, especially when the weather becomes a factor, whether it snows, whether it rains. It doesn't matter. They're going to play the game. I think that brings a lot of viewers. So I understand what you're saying. The NHL doesn't want to kill that and overdo it. You want to keep it small, keep it maybe once, twice, 3 times a year tops, and just make it a rarity. If it becomes too much and you have 15 games a year outdoors, it loses its luster. So I understand what you're saying.
Exactly. And on top of that, they always want to throw the primetime teams into this, the big market teams like the Los Angeles Kings, the San Jose Sharks, the teams that are good every year and they're constants. But if you really think about it, I mean, who have been the teams that you can say have honestly been steady, good teams over the last couple of years? You have your Blackhawks, you have your Ducks, your Kings, the Penguins, the Canadians. The Rangers have been up there. They haven't been one of the best. They're always kind of up there, and then you have those teams that are just outside of the conversation. But you want these primetime teams in it every year. I mean, if you're doing it 4 times a year, you're going to see the same exact teams every single year in it. That's why if you're only doing it once, you could always change up the teams that are in it every year.
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of viewers if your game is Dallas Stars.
Exactly. This isn't something you're going to do Buffalo Sabres versus the Panthers. You want the big market teams in it. So there's not as many big market teams in it. If the more you do it, the more it takes away from it, because then it's the same teams over and over again every year. It's the same thing.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying. I think that the NHL has found something here. This is solid gold for the NHL. The amount of viewers they get from this, they
filled up Michigan Stadium last year.
107,000 people were in that stadium last year, maybe more. It might have been like 115.
That's probably the biggest attendance a hockey game has ever seen.
It broke the record for the biggest hockey game ever. I mean that got more people in it than some Michigan games do.
Yeah.
I mean sometimes they don't even sell out. But I think for sure this is like found gold for the NHL because you look at what
their popularity.
It's increased the popularity. You look at what they get off of it. You look at the HBO series that they had 24/7. Obviously this year now it's on Epix. Mm-hmm. People watch that.
Yeah.
You look at the Stadium Series jerseys that they sell. People buy those.
And you know what? The whole we were just talking about that 24/7 thing with Epix. The other reason it's such a good thing is there was a lot of people that didn't follow hockey to begin with. People are starting to get into it. I mean, everyone loves the Hard Knocks thing. You see kind of what these players are like. And I mean, to see what the football players are like, hockey players are a lot more. And their language too. I mean, sit in a room with a hockey player and count how many F-bombs you hear in a sentence. It's up there.
It's up there with Rex Ryan. I mean, it's up there, and people want to see that. That's what people want to see.
People want to see what these guys are doing in their spare time. I mean, because you see these players out there on the ice, they take a beating, they walk away with bloody faces after taking a puck to the face, get stitched up, get back on the ice, and I mean, you would think maybe in their spare time they're a little more relaxed, but they're still out there going crazy in their spare time.
Well, not only that, but you mentioned it. You see these hockey players, they take these slap shots to the cheek, the chin, the face, and on Epix and on HBO, they show that, and they show them getting stitched up in between periods and then are back out there on the ice for the start of the next period.
I mean, how many sports can you say that you see stuff like that happen in, too? I mean, it's the one thing, it was always kind of overlooked because not as many people followed hockey. But, I mean, you look at some of these sports where a blood blister can keep you out for a game or 2 or 3. And then, you look at other sports, you get a sprained ankle and you're gone. You get a cut, you need stitches, you're done for the rest of the game. These hockey players, the guy had a heart attack on the ice last year and he didn't want to go to the hospital. He wanted to keep playing.
Stay in the game. Yeah, his heart actually stopped.
Yeah, he collapsed.
And they revived him back on the bench.
And then he said, I want to go back on the ice. And they said, no, we're taking you to the hospital. These guys are some of the toughest guys you'll ever meet. And you look at it, yes, you have your elite players in the game, like the Sidney Crosbys, who are known for going out there and not being the toughest guys. They'll just go out there and score the goals. But, look at the evolution of the games. You get guys like Alexander Ovechkin, one of the best players in the game, and he's going out there, he's throwing the body. You look how Rick Nash has evolved. He was kind of like a Sidney Crosby type of guy where he wouldn't really throw the body. He was just known for scoring goals. Now, all of a sudden, you see him going into the corners. You see him laying the hits. You see him working more in front of the net, which has helped take his game to a whole nother level. Ovechkin did the same thing. Ovechkin's always been the type of guy just to skate by people and lay big hits. Right. Now you see him going to the front of the net. You see him making these passes. They just evolve their game in ways that you wouldn't expect.
And I think that you're absolutely right in everything you just said there. But I think that also these behind-the-scenes shows really show you that more. And they're in-depth. And when you watch these shows, you notice more about the game than you do when you just watch the game on TV. Because obviously it's narrated by, on HBO, it was narrated by Liev Schreiber, obviously the Ray Donovan guy that we all love here, and except for Paul, who thinks it's average. But the
subpar.
Subpar. But now on Epic, it's narrated by a guy who I think sounds exactly like Liev Schreiber. It's not him. But they point out these things that you don't normally see when you watch the games. And then when you watch the games, take the game for itself, you notice these things more, and that gets you more interested in the sport. And I think, listen, in my personal opinion, I think you'll agree with this as well. Hockey will always be number 4. There's no way it's going to eclipse basketball. It's not going to eclipse baseball. And it's certainly not even coming close to eclipsing the NFL. So I think it'll always be number 4. But if you think that hockey hasn't grown over the last couple of years, you're not paying attention. Because look at the viewers that it's got. Look at the jerseys it's selling. Look at the HBO shows that people are watching. These shows, like on Epix and HBO, huge ratings. People watch this all the time.
Not to mention, you look back 5 years ago, you sit and you watch a hockey game, and, it's just the home team fans, unless you're playing a team like Toronto, who the fans travel well. Now, you go anywhere for a hockey game. You go to Pittsburgh, you'll see Islander fans there. It's just amazing the way the sport has grown within not even just New York.
Oh, yeah.
With the Islanders being revived now, that fan base is growing. But it's everywhere. You go to Florida, and all of a sudden, look at the investment in the Panthers. The Panthers are actually having a pretty solid year. They're 16-9. Their offense has been looking good. And you see these fans at this game. I was doing a Panthers game at work the other day. That place was loud.
And they're good. The Panthers are good this year.
They know how to put the puck in the net. They roll 4 lines better than anyone else in the NHL, and they all have talent on them.
You look at what they're doing out there in Florida. The Panthers, for the first time, are respectable and are actually fighting for a playoff spot. And I think a big part of that is Roberto Luongo, who's their goalie now, back in Florida, playing great hockey for them. Back in Florida, his second stint there obviously went to Vancouver. That didn't work out too well.
But that's not just it. You have to look at some of the acquisitions they made also. They're really, for the first time in a while, they're actually being serious. They're doing a good job of bringing in young talent mixed with veteran leadership. They brought in Willie Mitchell from the Kings championship teams, and he's their captain on that blue line now. And then you bring in guys like Brian Campbell, who was always good on Buffalo, which was a terrible team, and
Jonathan
he just
Huberdeau
had nothing next to him. Huberdeau, Scotty Upshaw. Yeah. They're bringing in a good veteran guys, and they have this guy Jonathan Hayes, who is absolutely phenomenal.
The brother to Kevin Hayes on the Rangers.
He's absolutely phenomenal. The way this guy works with the puck in front of the net is something like I haven't seen in forever.
No, listen, the Panthers are good, and you could point to all those reasons why that you just named, and obviously Luongo's another one. Obviously, no pressure playing in Florida now. He's back. It's towards the end of his career. Anything he does there now is really a plus, and so far they've been great this year. And speaking of the Florida Panthers, it's a good transition for us. I'm glad you brought them up because the Rangers play them tonight on New Year's Eve.
Before we transition to that, because I like that one too, there was another thing I wanted to discuss. Jaromir Jagr is a name who might be moved, and I think Florida would be a great fit for a guy like him, a team that's trying to take that next step, bring in a little bit more offense and a guy who can teach some of these younger guys. I think he'd be a great fit there.
Jaromir Jagr is a guy that can be moved. I think anybody on that Devils team can be moved with the exception of maybe 2 guys because that Devils team is old and they need to get young quickly. You look at they just fired their coach Peter DeBoer the other day. Now
They're
Adam
running a
Oates,
two-coach
Lou
system.
Lamoriello, 3-coach system. Lou Lamoriello, Adam Oates, and Scott Stevens are now their coaches there.
Scott Stevens. It feels like yesterday he was on the blue line for them ripping shots.
I know. And Scott Stevens now is their defensive guy, and Adam Oates is the forward guy, and Lamoriello just kind of oversees everything. So now they got 3 coaches on the bench out in New Jersey. I think anybody there can be traded. I think that they could trade Jaromir Jagr, get some draft picks. They could trade, anybody. I would say
anyone but Corey Schneider.
Anyone but Corey Schneider, maybe the exception of Adam Henrique. Maybe you don't want to trade him, still young. Your coach, you're not your coach, your captain is Salvador, I believe, and you got guys like Dinah Zubris. But for the most part, they are old. Their average age.
Even Dinah Zubris is old.
Their average age is like 31. That is by far and away the oldest team in the NHL.
Oh,
and they need to get young, and they need to get young quick because they're only getting older. And if they continue on that path, they're going to be bad for a long time coming. So, you're certainly right with Jaromir Jagr. I think he's going to be dealt at the upcoming trade deadline. Depends.
I don't
on
know
what
if the
he's
Panthers
for.
will make the move, but I think they should. I think that would be a great move for them.
It's a move that could excite the fans out there.
That would be
in Florida.
them saying, we're 16-9, we're right in the thick of it. We want it. We're going.
Jaromir Jagr is a Hall of Fame player. You look at what he did with his days in Pittsburgh. Obviously, his days with the Rangers. He was here for a while. Then he went to New Jersey for a while, Philadelphia for a year. For a name like Jaromir Jagr to go to the Florida Panthers, it would automatically give them credibility, despite the fact that he's 78 years old. He's still got some game left. He's having a down year this year. Obviously, he's only got like 5 goals. But that would be the move for the Florida Panthers. It says, listen, we're going for this year. And that's something, obviously, Panther fans didn't expect that they would have.
And, all of a sudden, they're always taking a backseat to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
You throw Jagr on that team, that offense takes the next step. They're in a similar conversation to Tampa.
The one negative I would have with acquiring Jaromir Jagr if you're the Florida Panthers is that you would probably have to sacrifice the first-round draft pick. And I think that their mentality out there in Florida is we're still in rebuild mode. Obviously, we're getting better. We're seeing results. We're competing for a playoff spot. But we're not ready to sacrifice the future with our first-round draft picks for a guy who's 41 years old.
Yeah, they're not a championship caliber team yet.
But with another first-round draft pick, if you bring in another first-round pick in here, all of a sudden that team's starting to look pretty damn good.
You're one big player away. That's literally the only thing they need. Maybe another young guy and then one big superstar-type player.
Absolutely. But I think Jaromir Jagr, whether it's to the Panthers or to someone else, I think he will be dealt along with some other players for the Devils. I don't think they're going to hold on to a whole hell of a lot of players out there because a lot of them are old. Elias is another one. Been there his whole career. Patrick Elias from the New Jersey Devils. I could see him getting traded. They're going to make some moves. Lou Lamoriello is not going to stand put at the deadline.
No, he never does.
No.
So anyway, now you want to move on to the other team in the Metro?
We're talking about the Florida Panthers. They play them tonight, the New York Rangers. They play them at, I think it's an early start. It's like a 6 o'clock game because of the whole New Year's Eve. They want to make sure the players are back and with their families.
Yeah, the coverage starts at 5. We had this discussion the other day. It's like the game starts at 5:30.
5:30. What are you talking about?
The coverage.
That's the
pregame.
pregame. You like the pregame. So for you, it does start at 5:30. But, this all of a sudden, this is a good game. A couple of years ago, if you're the Rangers, you're looking at the Panthers on the schedule. Great. It's an easy win. We're going to Sunrise, Florida. Beautiful weather. We'll beat the Panthers. We'll get out of there with a win. Not so easy anymore now. This is a Panthers team that we mentioned it just now in the previous segment. This is a team playing very, very well. This is not going to be an easy matchup for the Rangers at all. Coming off a tough matchup against Dallas. Luongo going to be in net for the Panthers. Obviously a very tough goaltender. Rangers are going to have their work cut out for them this year.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a really tough game. They match up really well with the Rangers because they're a quick, speedy, shifty team.
Young.
And the Rangers sometimes struggle to play defense. The defense has looked a lot better as of late during this 8-game winning streak. The defense has been phenomenal. Hank's been phenomenal.
By the way, can we just send a message to Alain Vigneault real quick? And I know that you're not really high on this guy. Can JT Miller be in the lineup every single day? I know you hate him.
I hate
Sean,
him, but he's playing so good.
He's playing so well.
Phenomenal.
5 goals in his last 10 games.
You got to keep him in there. He's got to be in the lineup. We got to get rid of Tanner Glass. I don't like him.
At least Stepniak is another one I'm starting to lose faith in.
Stepniak has his flashes, though. He's put some really nice goals in the net at some really big times for us. So, you know what? He's a good veteran type of guy to have.
How many big goals has he scored this year? Come on.
At the start of the year when we were struggling to score, he was one of the only ones scoring for us. I think he's a nice guy to pair up with some of the younger guys. You put him on a line with a Miller and a Hayes, and that's a nice little line right there.
Yeah.
That's why I like having him, because he's good for the younger guys.
I tell you what, all of a sudden now, the Rangers' future got a whole hell of a lot brighter and quickly. Because you look at where we were last year.
Last year, you weren't thinking about the future for this team.
Not at
you
all.
said this is a team that's capped within the next 3 years. They better win, otherwise they're screwed.
Not so much anymore. You look at JT Miller, you look at Kevin Hayes.
Hayes.
Kevin Hayes was a huge addition for them. When the Chicago Blackhawks let him go, He wanted to play for the Rangers. He wanted to come here. And you mentioned his brother out there in Florida. If he's anything like his brother, it's a great player to have. And he's getting better every game.
Well, listen, let me tell you, the other thing he's doing that's going really unnoticed. At the beginning of the year, we were saying there's going to be a lot of trouble filling Brian Boyle's spot, who had a subpar year last year.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of trouble filling that spot as the big man who gets in front of the net and goes to work in the corners and stuff. Kevin Hayes is doing a great job filling in that spot. He's doing better than Boyle did last year. He's in front of the net. He's working his tail off. He's filling in for Boyle, who was one of our better face-off men last year. He's winning some big draws for us. I mean, Kevin Hayes has really done more than what we asked him to do. He's stepped into Boyle's roles and not just, kind of filled them. He took his role over completely and took it to a whole nother level.
You mentioned Brian Boyle 2 years ago. He had that big 20-goal season, and people thought that he was going to be great, and they ended up giving him a big contract for it. Obviously never lived up to that contract. He's out in Tampa Bay now. But Kevin Hayes, like you said, he's not only filling that role, but there's obviously more optimism around Kevin Hayes because he's young and his ceiling is through the roof. You have no idea how good this kid can be. I mean, he was drafted with the lights of Taze and Kane out there in Chicago.
He's also more dynamic than Boyle was.
Oh,
Boyle was
fast,
never the type of guy to skate with the puck.
Hayes
so
is a big kid, too.
Not only can he pick up that in front of the net game from what Brian Boyle used to do, but there's a ton that Rick Nash could teach this kid. I mean, he's built to play just like Rick Nash.
Yep.
He should be in there using his size, getting to the net, and just letting his shot rip because he has a heck of a shot, too.
I love the way he's progressing, Kevin Hayes. I love what I'm seeing from JT Miller. Finally now, it seems like JT Miller's been here forever, but he's still only 21.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he must have made his debut with the Rangers when he was 19. I mean, because I feel like we've been watching Miller now for the past how many years?
3 years.
3 years. And he's still only 21.
He came up the year after Kreider.
I tell you what, who do you have more optimism around right now? Kevin Hayes, JT Miller, or Chris Kreider?
Chris Kreider's a guy that's been playing pretty poorly this year.
I'll say.
The last couple games, you've seen him better with his skating. He just can't find to get the puck in the net.
Oh, he was close to getting benched there, or maybe sent down.
Here's the issue with Kreider. He's very hesitant. Ever since that game with Minnesota, when he got thrown out of the game for that hit, he's very hesitant. He's afraid to use his size. He's afraid to throw the body because he doesn't want to hurt somebody. He doesn't want to get thrown out of a game and hurt the team. And in reality, what he's doing is he's second-guessing himself, and he's hurting himself. So I think he really just has to kind of stop thinking about what he's doing and just get to doing it and kind of just play, let it be natural, let the game come to you and not really worry about hurting someone or getting thrown out of the game.
Well, I think he also needs to finish more. I feel like we've been saying the same thing now for Kreider, and again, I think he's only 21 as well. He's young.
He's
Kreider.
either 21 or 22.
21 or 22, so obviously he's still got a lot of room for growth. But John Tortorella saw something with him that he didn't like. Maybe this is what he saw. I mean,
the hesitation?
There's not much. We haven't seen much from Chris Kreider to believe that he's going to take over and be that top six forward that we all thought he was going to be. As a matter of fact, I would go as far to say right now that JT Miller and Kevin Hayes bring you more excitement than Chris Kreider does.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, Kreider, we re-signed Kreider to a one-year deal with the arbitration or whatever it was. Yeah. So
he better start throwing something soon.
He's got to start turning it around, otherwise there's not going to be much interest in him. And
by no means am I ready to give up on him
No,
yet.
but I'm saying we'll be able, this might end up being a good thing for the Rangers because now we could re-sign him a little cheaper. Coming off the year he had last year, there was a lot of optimism for him. He digressed a little bit. We get him a little cheaper and maybe get him back on track. But you know what? As of right now, the most promising thing about seeing everything for the Rangers and how everything's gone this year is the fact that Kreider hasn't been playing good, and we're still playing as well as we are.
Another question I have for you, and I noticed this, I've been thinking about it all season long. A guy I'm really starting to lose interest in and confidence in is Carl Hagelin. Now, listen, Carl Hagelin's obviously a very, very talented skater. Very fast, but it seems to me, and this is only my opinion, that's his only tool.
Well, let me tell you this. For everyone who thinks that this guy's going to be a 30-goal scorer or a 20-goal scorer, you're nuts.
Come on.
This guy's going to be
lucky if you get 10.
10,
lucky
maybe
to get
15 if you're really lucky.
He's got 4, and they're all empty netters.
You know what's impressed me about him, though, this season? His passing ability has grown. He's made some really nice passes, especially from behind the net. Yeah. And it's always good to have a guy who can find a way to get the puck in front of the net from behind it. That's very valuable to a team to get yourself in scoring positions when you're trapped behind the net. It's very good for the cycle game. So I'm very impressed with what he's done with his passing game to improve on that.
But would you
say
that he hasn't become the player we thought he would?
I think everyone was – you see, the issue is when everyone looks at hockey players, they look at them for their scoring ability.
There's obviously little things that you could do to help the team, like Zuccarello. Zuccarello doesn't score that many goals, but he makes tape-to-tape passes. He plays good defense.
And a lot of people overlook that. That's the thing. When you get a hockey player in here, you look at how he can contribute with goals. Assists and other things they do is often overlooked. Yeah. Hagelin is always the one to hustle. He's always the first one back on defense, and he makes these good passes. I mean, how many times have you seen him go behind the net and pass the puck to the other side in front of the net without put it behind the net, and it ends up in front of the net on the other side to a guy right there for an empty net. I mean, he's made some really nice passes, and he's stepped his game up in ways we haven't really expected him to.
For me, you're right. He does make those great passes, and you said that works great in the cycle game. But for me, he's a top 6 forward on this team, and he doesn't really score. In Vigneault's system,
he should be scoring more with his open offense.
And he obviously, to me, he's got one great tool and another tool, which is passing, which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. For me, I need a little bit more to be a top 6 forward. For me, maybe I think he should be on the third line more than the second line.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, but I need a little bit more from Carl Hagelin. He really hasn't progressed the way that I wish that he would. Obviously, his speed is incredible. I mean, he's the fastest skater in the NHL. He's proven that at the All-Star game.
Everyone sees speed, and they expect it to be an electric player, kind of like what Marty St. Louis was back in his day.
Right, you see him hustle the pucks. You see him get to the pucks first. And you see him, and it seems to me like almost every game, at least once a game, he has an opportunity on like a breakaway because his speed just gives him that opportunity, but he just never finishes it. I mean, he doesn't. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great scorer. To me, he's got one great tool, which is speed, and another tool, which is pretty good, and that's passing. Mm-hmm. But I think I need a little bit more because he is a top 6 forward on this team.
Yeah, and the other guy I want to talk about on the Rangers this year, having a great year. You know, at the end of last season when we let Anton Stralman walk, everyone was really concerned about this defense. But Kevin Kline has been a blessing.
Oh, and how about his scoring? 8 goals.
And 3 of them are game winners.
That's right. You know what? You can honestly look at some of the trades in Rangers history. Obviously, I think the best one's
McDonough, by
Scotty
far.
Gomez for Ryan McDonough.
Oh.
How about Del Zotto for Kline?
It's been phenomenal, too.
Del Zotto's a disaster.
Delzaster.
I mean, he went to Nashville, couldn't stand him. Now he's in Philadelphia. He's playing on like the third defensive pairing out there in Philadelphia. Kline's a great player for this team.
Phenomenal player.
It not only that, but it saved the Rangers some money in terms of they didn't have to go out and overpay for Anton Stralman because they knew Kline could step up on that second defensive pairing line and play great. I mean, look at the money that Stralman got in Tampa Bay. If the Rangers had to play that,
look at what he's done. He hasn't done anything.
If the Rangers had to pay that money, they probably don't get Hayes, and they probably don't have enough money to re-sign some of their players in the offseason coming up. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Kevin Kline trade is paying huge dividends for the Rangers.
Oh, yeah. It's huge dividends for their future, too. And,
right.
you know, Anton Stralman, I'm not saying he's a bad defender. He's always been the defender who's always back and plays solid defense, but everyone expected his scoring to take the next step, and it hasn't. So this has been a great move for the Rangers.
Right, and we were talking about before some of the Rangers' young players. One of their other young players is Anthony Duclair, and right now Anthony Duclair is putting up huge numbers in the World Junior Championships, where the USA is undefeated, and Anthony Duclair is playing for Team Canada, playing well, very well.
It's going to be a great championship game. It's good to see some of the young talent that's going to be in the NHL in the future.
Exactly. No, it's going to be great. Maybe USA Canada squares off in the championship game. That would be huge. That would be a great.
Be beautiful. USA destroyed Germany 5-2 the other day.
Canada's been destroying everybody. I mean, and Duclair's a huge part of that.
Oh yeah. So we're going to step aside real quick, and when we get back, we're going to go through some of the best moments of 2014 right here on Sports Justice. Hey there, everyone. It's Sean from Sports Justice. Me and the guys just wanted to take the time out to wish you guys a happy and healthy holiday season.
How you doing, guys? This is Paul Bonanno from Sports Justice. We love talking about sports, but what we love more is hearing from you guys. We talk about anything you guys want to talk about, and we love helping you bring home a fantasy football championship. We understand the struggle in picking out those starting lineups, and we provide the best advice you could find in a timely manner. So don't forget to get on the horn and join the debate. Give us a call at 516-858-5837. That's 516-858-5837.
Are you tired of hearing the same old voices on Sports Talk Radio?
We are receiving these returns through the cooperation and by special arrangements with the Pittsburgh Post and Sun.
It's time to try something new. Tune in to Sports Justice live on Cyber FM Radio.
Geno Smith is the worst quarterback in the National Football League, and the statistics prove it. Give me Tim Tebow. Well, maybe not really.
We also provide you with your up-to-the-minute updates in the world of sports.
Cleveland rejoice. The king is coming home.
Be sure to check us out on our social media, our Facebook, Sports Justice, our Instagram, Sports Justice, our Twitter at Sports_Justice, and our website, Sports.Justice.radio.com.
Also, be sure to get your dose of Sports Justice 3 times a week. Mondays at 10 a.m., Wednesdays at 5 p.m., and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Also, feel free to give us a call at 516-858-5837.
He said,
walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. No woman's worth falling on the earth to walk like a man, my son.
Welcome back to Sports Justice right here on Cyber FM Radio, not online radio, but radio online. As we are now sitting at 3:45 in the afternoon, getting closer to the new year, getting closer to 2015, and it's been a great year for us here at Sports Justice. And we want to wrap up this 2014 year and give you some of the best moments in New York and professional sports.
It's just a mess. Yeah, okay,
it's just a mess. Billy needs his headphones back, so.
Well, a really good one, I think, has to be, this isn't really an on-the-field type of thing either. This is something from off the field. Stuart Scott's speech.
Oh, great one, actually.
I think that has to be near, if not
That's
at the
actually a
top,
great
near
one.
the top of
Yeah.
every single person's
That's
list.
a great moment of all time.
It really wasn't as much an on-the-field accomplishment, but that speech is probably one of the most memorable speeches I've ever heard, and it's
That was
probably
great.
going to be one of the best speeches most people from this generation have ever heard.
That was great. No,
Yeah,
I
that
agree
was
with
a good one.
Yeah.
Do we want to go sport by sport? That's how I did. I mean, I have plenty of ones.
You have a hockey one, Paul?
No,
Mix
of
it
course.
up
Come
a
on.
little bit.
Let's be serious.
I
No.
don't know. What sport do we want to start with?
I
And then
started.
we'll-
I think NFL. You want to do
Start
NFL?
with
Because
football?
I
All right.
I had first the Richard Sherman over Crabtree to end the NFC Championship,
That's a
and
good
that pretty
one.
much
Definitely.
that ruined Crabtree's career. It seems like so far because he had a terrible
Yeah.
year this year, and ever since Sherman called him a what do you say, a mediocre?
Yep.
I think
Yes.
he said he's a
Or not
mediocre.
Sorry-ass mediocre receiver.
Right, he's mediocre
Yeah,
at best,
sorry
something like
receiver like crap.
yeah, sorry receiver. That's it. Pretty
Direct
much.
quote.
Direct quote, and then they went on to win the championship. It's that, and then moving forward, a few weeks after the Seahawks' domination of the Broncos in the Meadowlands right here in New Jersey/New York. That was one of the biggest moments, too, because it was just such a blowout. I've never seen anything like that in a Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, it was. That's definitely a memorable moment for the year. But as a favorite, that's probably not one of my favorites. But
No,
it's
because it
definitely
was such a
memorable.
bad game.
I'm just talking about best moments.
Yeah,
I just have
no,
best moments.
Best moments for the
If
sport.
you're rooting for the Seahawks, yeah, that's definitely.
Well, just
I'll
most
give you one.
memorable, too.
How about Isaiah Austin getting drafted in the NBA?
Yeah, well, that's why we went with the NFL
Michael
first.
Sam getting drafted in the NFL.
Yeah. Where's he been for the last 8 months?
Yeah,
Well,
really.
obviously, but that was something new for the sport when it happened.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't like how Rich jumped to a different sport when I said we're doing NFL
NBA.
first.
the guy's unbelievable.
I had Isaiah Austin on my NBA thing.
Oh, did you?
Let's cross
He's all over the world.
that out. It's okay. The other thing with the NFL, I know you didn't really want to say it, but I mean, the off-the-field issues is what I'm going to remember also with the NFL. The Ray Rice, the Adrian
Yes.
Peterson, the Josh Gordon, all that nonsense that went on. For a while, that's all we were talking about. We weren't even talking about on-the-field issues.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about, it went from one thing to the other,
Yep.
to the next, to the next. Johnny Manziel off the field, everything off the field.
Can't forget
The
Richie
Shield took a hit
Incognito.
this year.
Richie Incognito, Jonathan.
That's right.
Martin.
Yep.
The Shield took a hit this year in a big way.
Took a
and
big hit.
Roger Goodell especially, his pride took a hit, his reputation took a hit. And that's the biggest deal, I think, so far that came out of it.
You're right. It just seemed like one thing after another. I think it started pretty early. It started with the Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin thing. It transitioned to the Josh Gordon suspension, into the Ray Rice fiasco, now to the Adrian Peterson thing. And, I mean, it just seemed like one thing after another was hitting the NFL, I mean, pretty hard in terms of their whole personal conduct policy that they had this year. I agree with you. I think that when you look back at the NFL in 2014, the thing that's going to stick out most is the off-the-field things more than the on-the-field things. And also because, like you said, the Super Bowl was awful. I mean, a lot of times when you're wrapping up a year, you can look at the Super Bowl maybe as like the best game of the year or whatever. Not in this case. In this case, the Super Bowl was awful. You're going to remember the off-the-field stuff.
Yeah. And then I went with New York, and it was hard to find New York stuff. I think top two are
Not easy, Paul. This one's a tough one. I'm trying to find New York football.
the Odell
glory
Beckham
in
catch.
2014.
I think it was number one
For sure.
Yes,
that would be
that
number
has
one.
to be.
Yes.
And
That's-
it's most recent, so it really.
Yeah,
sticks
that
out.
was just
Yeah.
I mean top catch. And then we met him 2 days after. Not to brag or anything,
right.
but
Awesome
we got
guy.
him right when he started to get big, and that was it. And the other thing I think is the other recent stuff. The only thing is Rex Ryan getting fired and the John Idzik press conference
That's
midway
it.
through the year.
If
Those
you're
are the
gonna-
two
if you're
ones.
gonna-
Here's one I have for New York. Jacob deGrom winning the Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
That's baseball.
That's
Once
baseball
again,
right
I
there.
have that.
Once again.
You're completely off here, Billy. Unbelievable.
You said New York. So
No, I
Cross
said New
it
York
off.
football. Why would I say Odell Beckham and Rex Ryan if that's the only New York thing?
Cross that one.
Cross that one off the list. We'll get back into that. No, but NFL. Once again, NFL New York. What went on?
now we're getting specific.
Well, we've been specific. I thought.
It's just you
Rex
guys
Ryan.
haven't listened.
Rex Ryan's firing, which just happened. What 2 days ago? That has to be it. Because what else but the Jets can you say?
You're not going to remember anything else.
And
for
the John
Jets.
Idzik press conference, the 50-minute press conference of nonsense.
That'll stick out. Yeah.
That'll stick out.
Actually, people will try to forget that. So,
And that's just
maybe
the
that
reason
won't
why
stick
we're
out.
moving on
Yeah.
as the Jets. And that could be the reason why we get better in the future is because of that Idzik press conference.
That's right. We hope.
Yeah, that's at least what
Hopefully,
we can hope.
2015, when we're doing this 365 days from now, we'll be talking about a new era of Jets football and the new things that we're
Let's
remembering.
talk about Aaron Rodgers getting traded to the Jets.
And
That's what
trade
we'll
to the
talk
Jets
about.
along with Calvin Johnson as well.
Aaron Rodgers and Calvin Johnson and Marshawn Lynch.
And
coming.
Marshawn Lynch. Don't forget Des Bryant. Throw him in there.
Yeah,
as long
why-
as we're
why
going to
not?
dream, we might as well dream big, Paul.
Make Eric Decker number 3 receiver. All right, now we can move on to a different sport if there's nothing else you guys have from NFL, New York-wise or full NFL-wise. I think it's about the Shield and
I think we're good. Yeah, like you said, the
OBJ
Shield taking
and
a
Rex
hit.
Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the playoffs last year. Obviously, we mentioned the Richard Sherman Crabtree incident. That's what sticks out to me.
Yeah.
The Seahawks being so dominant. Russell Wilson winning his first Super Bowl. Things like that. I think that's certainly what you'll remember.
So what do you want to go, NBA or MLB next?
We can go either way you want.
Well, you want to just get the NHL one out of the way real quick because
He
It
doesn't
was
have
already
any.
out of the way.
He
It was
doesn't have
already
any.
out of the way.
I think this is easy for us.
Oh, 100%.
Rangers getting to the Stanley Cup Finals.
The Rangers coming back from being down 3-1 to
Against the
Pittsburgh.
Penguins, yeah. And we
to
were at
win
the game that
series.
put them down 3-1. I'll tell you what I'll remember. You texted me saying they're going to come back and win that.
You know where I was when I texted you that?
Where?
On the crapper.
Where you do all of your insightful thinking.
The best things happen.
I sit there and I text. Rich is talking to me. He goes, "You can't possibly tell me the Rangers are going to win this
We
series."
had been
I
in the
go,
game the night before. The Rangers played the Penguins in game
He was completely down in
4.
the dumps, and I was still
And
being
they lost.
optimistic. I said, "Rich, the series isn't over. The Rangers are going to win."
No,
And the Rangers,
Paul was optimistic too. He was giving us all those stats. All the teams
Yeah.
that came back from down 3-1. Remember?
and the Rangers came back to win that. Came back and they made it to the Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, they lost, which is another big moment for the Kings winning that. But I think maybe the biggest moment for the NHL as a whole last year was the introduction of the Stadium Series games. Just
True.
another
Yeah.
way to expand the game,
Huge. It was huge for them.
which we touched on before.
touched on that already.
My
yeah.
top NHL highlight. Me watching my first ever full NHL game.
In a suite?
Your boy. Oh, was that?
Well, no.
that's right.
I'm talking about on TV. I
Oh.
watched one of the Stanley Cup games with the Rangers. I think the last one.
That was after the suite though. So technically your first.
well, at a
NHL
game is different. No, I'm talking about on TV. I've never
So
watched
you
a
won't remember
full.
the live experience of being at the end.
No,
Which
I've
you-
been to plenty of NHL games. I've been
Oh,
to
that's right.
30 to 40 NHL games in my
Really?
life. Yeah, so I used to go to Islander games all the time. It's the first on TV I've ever seen a full game. Was the game that the Rangers lost the Stanley Cup, which
And you
I'm
watched the
sorry
whole
to
thing.
say.
Was
yeah,
that not a great game in overtime and everything?
Yeah,
yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
That was a great series.
that was a phenomenal
We
series.
can look back on it now. I mean, we cried when it happened, but
You know, though, 1 or 2 bounces away from it being the exact opposite.
We
anyway,
said 2 seconds of hockey, and it's turning into 7 minutes.
Yeah, all right. Next, NBA or MLB? I think we should go NBA because MLB I
Yeah,
think has
NBA.
the top moment ever. But NBA, I have dates, Steve. I did all my research while you guys were rambling about
let
whatever
me see
sport
what you
that
have
was.
here. This way, I'm aware. All right, I have
April
one.
29th.
Wait, before that.
Wait, maybe we should try to
before
guess
that,
what it
there's
is.
something from
Yeah,
before
just
that.
say the day, and we'll
just say the day. Let's try to guess it.
There's something from ahead of
Sean's
that.
cheating.
I don't know the date, but the passing of the torch from Stern to Silver.
I thought,
Oh, well, I mean,
that's
That
not
was
memorable.
2013.
Was it?
Pretty sure.
I don't think so.
No.
that was midway
It was
through the year
2014.
last year.
I'm pretty sure that we talk about the NBA.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that I'll certainly remember is the whole Clippers thing with the owner.
Oh, look who you just lost my spotlight. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm about to say end of Donald Sterling. He goes, whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, up.
Easy, big fella.
Easy, big fella.
No, but yes, I agree with you, Rich.
Yes.
The end of Donald Sterling, that whole allegation thing.
Great NBA Finals.
Yes,
Heat
with
Spurs.
them, I have
NBA
a lot of
playoffs.
these. Yeah,
Great NBA
and-
That's
playoffs.
right. Yeah, great
May
playoffs
2nd.
Can you
as a
say this?
whole.
Yeah, say go
May
into this
2nd,
one.
Damon Lillard hits that 3-pointer against the Rockets to go on to the second round of the playoffs.
That
One of the best
fadeaway
moments.
game-winning
Yeah,
three.
unbelievable catch shoot.
Probably the best shot of last season.
He hasn't missed since, apparently.
Yeah, pretty much. May 6th, the Kevin Durant MVP speech.
Yes.
Oh, you're the real MVP.
You the real MVP.
You're the real
That's
MVP.
another one I'll remember.
Yeah.
July 11th is LeBron James' homecoming when he announces he's finally coming home to Cleveland. One I will
me. I was
certainly-
in Cleveland when he announced it.
That's true. I
which was
forgot
really,
about
really
that.
cool,
Right.
yeah.
And that's the one I'm going to remember, too. And the most New York memorable, hard to find any. All I had was Phil Jackson's coming in to save the Knicks.
Oh, seemed like he was a savior.
How about the re-signing of Melo? You remember that?
I guess
that
so.
was a terrible
I was
re-signing.
upset.
He was upset.
You're upset, but you will remember it.
Yeah, I guess so. But we'll see because now he's going to probably get surgery and his season's probably going to be over sooner rather than later.
Let's see how
I
Melo's...
couldn't think of anything else, though. It's Derek Fisher and Phil Jackson coming to save
Fisher
the
and
Knicks.
Phil Jackson, that's it for
Nets
the,
had
for the
nothing.
Knicks.
I guess they got rid of
Beating
a
the
lot of
Raptors
guys.
in the playoffs last year would probably be their main claim to fame, but
Right.
other than that, not much.
Dumping Jason Kidd.
Obviously, when
The
did they...
Jason Kidd thing was kind of
He kind
a
of
big deal in New
bolted
York.
out of the city.
Yeah, that was
Jason
kind of a
Kidd
big
thing
thing
would
because
be
of that.
remembered, yeah.
All of a sudden, he's just like, screw you guys, going to
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
they didn't really get rid of him.
I'm out.
He got rid of them.
Yeah, more or less. So should we move on to the
much.
MLB now?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Where we'll start with the number one. I start with the Royals' hot run to come in, and
Oh, yeah.
all of a sudden
Would've been great if they
a
were able to cap it off with a World Series. Then we really would have remembered
a
it.
small market team, and Rich was from the beginning.
I was on the magic carpet, Paul.
I jumped in midway through,
Yeah.
and I kept going. I wanted to see it happen.
We stopped and we picked you up halfway along the way.
Right. So then after that, it goes into Bumgarner. And
Now that's gonna
the
be
whole playoffs in the World Series.
Honestly, we could be sitting here doing the same recap in the year 2035, and we'll be talking about Bumgarner's year back
How
in
about
2014.
the regular season Clayton Kershaw?
Oh, yeah. That's a good
yeah,
one, too.
that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Dominance all throughout. Won the Cy Young. Just gonna read up Bumgarner's World Series stats quickly. 7 innings of 1-run ball in Game 1. Shut out the Royals in a complete game in Game 5, and pitched 5 scoreless innings on 2 days rest in Game 7 to win it.
I think if you're going to look at the Mets, I think you got to look at it as like a year without a Santa Claus. This would be a year without a Harvey.
Yeah.
We didn't have him the entire year. I think you'll remember that, and the reason that they weren't that good. Hopefully next year brings a different recap for the Mets. But obviously, if you're going to look at the Mets, you're going to look at Jacob deGrom and his emergence as the Rookie of the Year. Came in right away and contributed and was great. You can look at Juan Lagares winning the Gold Glove. Had his first
Taking
full
his game to that next level.
and grabbing hold of that center field job for the Mets.
I just want to say one more thing for Bumgarner. Besides winning the World Series MVP, NLCS MVP, and won a Silver Slugger also. So some kind of year for Bumgarner. Pretty much won every award there.
Oh, yeah. And then kind of switching off the MLB a little bit, going to a college aspect. How about UConn? The men and the women's team
that's
winning
right.
the
Winning
national
the national
titles.
championship.
Yeah.
Don't skip the Yankees yet. It was the year of Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
That is
Can't
true.
I was
forget
going
that.
to say September
That
25th.
honestly, you could put that right next to Bumgarner in terms of memorable moments this year. Maybe it's because we're in New York, but I think if you're just a baseball fan, you're going to remember
That
For the
final
sport of
game at
baseball,
Yankee
it's a memorable
Stadium.
Oh, that was great. And I know Sean, hated it
Yeah.
and said that it didn't matter.
Final game at Yankee Stadium, game-winning hit. That's the top memory for me in
I
2014.
remember
Nothing
it like
gets
it was
better.
yesterday, Paul.
Oh, so I still got the chills. I got the chills.
I still
Literally,
got the
seeing the picture of him rounding the bases gave me the chills again. And the last
I
career
remember
hit
the
he-
call from Michael K. Too.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Last hit of his career, RBI single against Boston to walk it off.
Did you have any doubt, Michael K?
Oh, so good. And that's best New York, best everything. Top for
Anything
me.
in golf for you?
Rory.
Tiger Woods maybe coming back?
No, Rory going crazy the whole
And
time.
throwing paint on us, right? It was
I think
that whole thing. It's going to take you guys a year to do it.
Paul went from a smile.
I think for
to-
me, in terms of golf, it's going to be my man Bubba Watson with his son running out to him on the golf course.
Oh,
Remember that
right.
one? That was
Won the
pretty cool.
Masters, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But for me, number one, Derek Jeter.
Oh, yeah.
Best memory, best
Out of
moment.
all,
No.
out of them all, I'm going to say Derek Jeter as well. I think that's the
Easy,
most memorable.
easy,
I tell you
easy.
what,
Landslide.
unfortunately, you can also make the case that it's going to be the Ray Rice situation. It's not a good one to remember, but
With
in
Donald
terms of when
Sterling.
you look back at 24,
I don't know
right?
if that's the most memorable thing. A lot of things.
Donald Sterling might be more memorable than the Ray Rice one.
Because it's
Keep coming back with this Donald Sterling thing.
what do you say, Billy? Number one. Number one.
Sports moment.
Yep.
Derek Jeter. Number two.
Did you have any doubt?
By far.
Looking back on the whole
landslide.
year, that's probably the most significant thing I think is Derek Jeter's final home game.
All right. Well, we're out of time here. We want to make sure that we have our wrap up and get our information.
I was gonna hope you were gonna do the Celebrate song. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Why don't you sing it on the way out?
Just did it.
Hey, just did
Anyway.
All right, well, that's going to do it all the time we have for today on Cyber FM
all
Radio.
the time we have for this year, Sean.
Not online radio, but radio online. If you want to let us know what your favorite moment of the year was or what you thought the best moment of the year was, make sure to let us know on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Our Facebook, Sports Justice. Our Twitter, @sports_justice.
Check out the article on our blog. I don't even know what it is. What's the link?
If
for
you
our
go to
blog?
our website, if you go to our website, sports.justice.radio.com, and go to the news section, which is new, and click on the link there, you'll
Our own
direct you
Rich Warnock.
It'll direct
Wrote his
you to
article.
Rich's article.
Only a year
Finally.
later.
Only a year later.
Anyway, Rich is going out with a bang this year, so be sure to check that out.
Hopefully we open it with what we opened 2015.
New Year's
with one,
resolution.
yeah. New Year's resolution.
Also, check out our YouTube, Sports Justice. Other than that, that's going to do it for this year from the crew here at Sports Justice. I'm Sean Snyder.
I'm Billy Pop Emanuel.
I'm Rich Warnock.
I'm Paul Bonanno.
We'll be back with you next year. Our next show is Saturday. Right?
And don't we want to thank our fans for this magnificent
year of sports. When did we start the show? We started in
The Super
January.
Bowl last year.
January.
The week
February.
before the Super Bowl.
You know, we're actually coming up on our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something big for that.
We will. Maybe we'll have a party.
All right, everybody, have a happy new year, and we'll see you next year.
Be safe, everybody.
Shake